Tonight, live from the Daytona International Speedway, the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series Season 3 on LSRTV, and tonight, the first points race of Season 3, the iSuperSpeedway 500 at Daytona. 124 laps and 500 kilometers from the drop of the green flag to the time this checkered flag will fly, and 40-plus drivers going to be entering tonight's race with hopes of taking home the trophy that race officials are going to be handed out at the end of this one. Welcome you up at an LSRTV broadcast booth. My name is Evan Pozzocco alongside PDJ Zeller and Rents Brown on part 2 of our Friday night Super Speedway doubleheaders here on LSRTV. And guys, this one is classified as an endurance race. They typically go about 25 laps for the B mains, 50 for their A mains. We'll get back on that track coming up for race 2 in 2 weeks' time. But tonight, it is their 500K, 124 plus laps in this one. And it's going to be a barn burner, to say the least.
It's going to be an insane race here from Daytona. Last week we saw this league run their preseason opener in which Josh Ball took the victory. His second straight year doing so. In this race, I expect to see nothing less from the excitement we experienced last week. These guys know how to race with a no pushing in the corner rule. It really heated things up down the straightaways as they would push so hard getting into the corners, then they had to let off, making the racing side by side inches apart the whole entire 80-lap endurance of that race.
That is true, and especially with Daytona, you need to push as long as you can for as fast as you can. The problem with it is, if you push someone in the corner, the officials are going to tell you, no, 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 you cannot do that. But it also makes a big deal when it comes to bunching the field up, because that's what causes chain reactions, and then that is what causes the wrecks.
And again, we have to mention, you guys covered it there, the restrictions, the rules that the race officials put into place. You cannot bump draft in the corners or with the tri-oval, so it is really going to limit the amount of pushing that these guys can do, obviously, which is going to make it harder to complete passes. You're going to see a lot more pack racing, which means that if there's some sort of an issue, it's going to be a lot bigger. Right now, these drivers working through a 10-minute close qualifier session, so 2 laps as each car goes out there individually, trying to put down the best lap that they can. And so far, at the moment, as it starts to wind down, 38 cars have put down a time in the qualifier session. And race notes entering this one, again, the open entry field. A lot of these drivers that are not regulars entering this one. However, we do have a lot of the well-known names here with iSuperSpeedway in the race tonight, but has been open registration for this race throughout the week, so we'll see a couple of new faces, guys. And what that entails at these restrictor plate races is the fact that you work better with guys that you've raced with, especially when it comes to the bump draft. You're going to push better with somebody that you know how they drive. So seeing all these new faces, it's definitely going to be a little bit of a learning curve at these opening laps for some of these guys who have not raced with each other before to kind of get used to how each other drives.
I expect to see these drivers race all out again tonight. This is the season opener. It is a double points race. They're going to be going for it all tonight. If you mess up in this race, you are not going to be in good position going into the next race. So these guys cannot afford a bad race. I just expect to see, they'll probably take it calm at first. But when it heats up towards the end of the race, things are going to get wild once again.
Listen, boys, this is Daytona. This is a special race. Whenever you come back to Daytona International Speedway, you are just going to go all out 24/7 for as long as you can to say, guys, I am a Daytona winner and the season opening winner. So, lots on the line.
And a lot on the line in the fact that, again, bragging rights. And again, for those who are new to the iSuperSpeedway series, you're getting a trophy. I mean, these guys are shipping you out a nice trophy for every single race. This will be a nice one to put on your computer desk and have next to you when you're racing on iRacing, saying that you are the iSuperSpeedway 500K champion at Daytona. So in that regard, it's the season opener. There's that much more anticipation. Everybody wants to win that much more. They kind of forget the fact that, Petey, as you said, it is a double points race. So that's obviously going to come to a factor as well. Some of these guys, that again, it's going to be hard to think while you're going down in the middle of this pack that I want to get points out of it. No one's going to be thinking about points coming down to 5 to go here at Daytona because, again, it's so prestigious to win at this racetrack. Going to make a quick note. Next time we're going to be on air again. Last time we were on air was the shootout. Josh Ball won that one. His number 48 Pink Low Chevrolet in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. He's going to be our in-race reporter. Next time you'll see iSuperSpeedway on LSRTV. Going to be in 2 weeks' time. We have an off week for Halloween, and then we're going to be back at Daytona in the day for round 2 of 16. The B-main race going to be broadcasted. That's going to be 25 laps, 50 laps as well for the A-main. But, guys, we got a big field to go through, so we're going to get it kicked off here early as the field hits the pit road, and we get set for, again, 124 laps of action. Going to run you down through your starting grid. Tom Mustakis going to qualify on pole position, a 46.527. Going to give him that top spot. Rodney Wofford going to be starting in P2. Brendan Cattell, third place starting position for his machine. The number 8 of Dana Osborne in 4th. 5th, Mark Jorgensen Jr., 6th position. Going to belong to Ray Rittenauer. Josh Hanner in 7th. Brandon Chaburko, defending series champion. Going to be starting in 8th spot. Josh Ball, in race reporter, going to be starting P9. Coming off a win in the shootout 1 week ago. We touched on that. Going to be 9th. And Jason Altman rounds out the top 10, Petey.
All right, 11th night, league owner Rod Flagg in 12th, Shane McEachin. Number 08 of Cody Dutton, 14th and number 22 of Ron Thompson, David Shutempiai in 15th. Ryan Pyland in his number 12 will be starting from the 16th spot. Raymond Evans in 17th tonight, Jared Haggard in 18th, Dennis Wright 19th, and rounding out the top 20, the number 5 of Casey Pierce.
In 21st is the number 17 of Tanner Mann. 22nd, the 42 of Brian Underwood. 23rd is the number 06 of Doug Sigmund. 24th is number 96 of Chad Keene. The number 98 of Greg Hook starts 25th. 26th, the number 4 of Tommy Hall. And the number 82 car, Daniel Harrington, in the 27th spot. 28th spot is the number 33 of Larry Camp. And 29th is the 73 of Mark Brown. And 30th, the number 78 of Tony Fenn.
31st, going to go to Jimmy Todd, Charles Edwards, 32nd, 33rd, Jimmy Tolliver, 34th, going to be William Perry. If you have been tuned in all night long at LSRTV, part 2 of our Super Speedway Friday night doubleheaders, Perry doing the double tonight, did not have the result that he wanted over in the Verdane race. He'll start 34th tonight, 35th, going to be Matt Bontempi, 36th to Shane Fry, 37th position, James Hudson, Hunter Bowles going to be 38th, last car to take a time, and Kent Connolly is going to start in 39th position, and guys, going to round out what is, again, 39 cars in tonight's field. A long way to go. One of the key things that we're definitely going to have to talk about tonight is how well you pace yourself to survive this iSuperSpeedway 500K and be there at the end as we set and roll from pit road.
Yes, and it should be very interesting, this league with a very unique, to say the least, rule package. And at first, whenever you hear it, it may sound bizarre, but whenever you watch the racing's just so tight and so close that you can see why they implement these rules. Everything works out for the best. And tonight, you will see double file all the way back to that 39th position, just racing door to door, side by side. The side draft is so effective with their no pushing in the corner rules that you will see guys touching in the corners almost, door to door.
Yeah, that's right, because the side draft will get you just that little bit extra. It's going to take the air away on the right quarter panel of the guy underneath you, or if you're on the bottom, the guy on top of you, the left rear quarter panel, it's going to suck the air away from them. You're going to get that air as a push, and it's going to jet you forward to the next spot that you have. Is we're in 3 and 4, lights are out. Evan, let's start this race off right. Let's start the season off right.
First points race and the first official points race on LSRTV gets set to go green at a quarter number 4. It is going to be Tom Mustakis, the number 10 Ford Fusion. Going to lead us to the green. The number 7 machine will lead that outside pack. It's going to be Rodney Wofford. Pack racing, no pushing into corners, and 500 kilometers as the pace car hits pit road. Green flag in the air. The iSuperSpeedway 500K is green. Advantage to the inside lane to start off. The 80 of Brandon Cattell wasting no time to the back bumper of Tom Mustakis.
Trying to get clear of this outside line before they get to the corner, and they now have to back off of each other due to the no pushing rule, as they're going to get a severe advantage on the outside lane. Right now as the 8 car will pull down the line, thinks about it, and he will come down low, and Rodney Warford will also find a hole, so things getting pretty single file early. Rodney's still trying to get a little something on the outside. He actually did a great side draft off Mark Johansson here, as they're racing side by side for position number 3 right now. He has help coming from the 87.
The thing here with Daytona especially is, if you were with us for earlier coverage of the Talladega race that we broadcasted, the difference is between these two racetracks is it's narrow and then it's wide, as we got a battle for the lead. The 80 of Brandon Kettle going to the race lead. He's going to battle Tom Mustakis side by side in a turn number 1. This is going to be the interesting part. Get as close as you can to the guy in front of you. As you see the side draft, as PD was talking about earlier, they're getting as close as they can without touching, side by side for the battle for the lead down the backstretch, Evan.
And just about inches separating the passenger side door, the 81 and the driver's side door. The number 7 machine is Rodney Wofford. Again, you got a time catching up to that guy in front of you, so you can get that push immediately coming off the corner. You see they got to hang back. 7 car needs to be right there along with the 81. So as soon as they come off the hill, they push, and it is going to be outside lane with the advantage at a quarter number 4. Again, getting that run down the banking advantage to Tom Mustakis at the start-finish line. But Brandon Cattell again using that outside lane after starting in the number 3 spot. He immediately helped Mustakis jump that line, guys, there coming to the completing of lap number 1, and then he went up to the high side there, and that's where the 7 machine, it also helped Wofford because Rodney was sliding back in line, and Pete, you were talking about the fact that he was considering dropping back, stayed on the outside lane. It pays due dividends when that 80 machine popped out of line, and again, still double file, and these lead cars have pulled away significantly from the rest of the field. We're 3 wide back of the pack. I believe that's going to be Shane McKeechin back there, 3 wide, guys. No, it's not. He's fine, but we are 3 wide back of the pack. It's the 21 car up on the outside lane. That's going to be Josh Hanner. They're 3 wide with the 83 and the 5 at the stripe.
The 5 will clear him, the 21 going back fast. This is kind of like the old Daytona racing I used to see if you follow racing. They would race in packs. They could not push in the corners back in the day because the bumpers were not aligned. That was not the case here, but due to the mad tape on the grill and the rule, you cannot push in the corner. So we see these guys push and push and push on the straightaways and get as close as they can so they get the side draft to the corner just so they can do it again on the next straightaway. And it's produced some very fun racing as the defending champion Brandon Chaburko is trying to find a hole.
Yeah, Brandon Chaburko is trying to find a hole off turn number 4. The 10 of Tom Mustakis continues to lead on the bottom. And another reason why they don't bump draft in the corners. These cars are very, very sensitive in the quarter panels, especially in that left rear. If you bump draft wrong, you could turn everyone around in front of you, create a big, massive checkup, and the wreck's on from there as Brandon's just trying to follow the 8 car down on the bottom. It's 2 cars in the high line, 4 cars in the bottom, and they're about single file behind this front pack.
And again, this race, as you see that outside lane draft once again, giving the push to the number 80 machine. That's Brandon Cattell up on the outside lane. Cattell, one of the drivers that participated in Season 2. We did not have that coverage here on LSRTV, but again, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of new faces here for this long race. And guys, unlike the races, these shorter shootouts that we'll see later on in the season, plus the fact that, again, you're forced to kind of do this a little bit more pack racing, this race is going to be a lot more about survival. It's going to be a lot more about riding in line and trying to hold on to track position. Because, yeah, you can get hooked up, go to the high side, maybe using that short shoot down from the start-finish line to turn 1. Obviously, the back straightaway going to be your best place to bump draft. But if you're too deep back in the pack, the restrictions that are placed on bump drafting is not going to allow you to make up the sufficient time. So as we run right now, the lead draft of 7 cars, and you can include the 23 machine in that one as well. That's going to be Rod Flag. As we take a look at the updated race standings here, the top, I want to say 12 cars entirely have about a second separating them, but once you get to about 17th on back, those guys didn't really quite get up on a wheel on the drop of the initial green flag. They're significantly back, and again, they are obviously counting on the fact that nobody expects a race at Daytona, 124 laps to go caution-free. Interesting to note, again, it is the day race here, much like the 500 is. Their shootout was under the lights, so not much of a change in the cars there, but it is a pretty, it's hotter in the daytime, so maybe a little bit more slick up there. You got to watch these cars when they're making some aggressive maneuvers. You see the 10 all the way down to the double yellow line, comes back up. Chaburko's gone down to the inside, which means the outside lane now only consisting of Brendan Cattell, and again, that 7 Rodney Wofford continuing to help as well.
The trend we will follow out this race, you will find out that the cars will go below the yellow line to clear the air off their nose. What that does is with the matte tape they have on the grill here, the engine will heat up racing bumper to bumper, so what they do is on the straightaways they go below the yellow line, which is completely legal as long as they aren't passing anyone, and they will cool down their motors, pull back in the line, and do it all again. And so far, this has just been fun to watch. Tom Mustakis so far is just leading this fairly compact. Everyone's just biding their time. They know they have 124 laps to get it done. And everyone's giving a lot of respect, a lot of give and take, and just good hard racing right now.
Brandon Chaburko goes back up to the high line in 3 and 4. He's going to try to push the 80 around the racetrack if he can. Jumps back up. He's going to get freight trained on the bottom. He's going to lose his 6th position, it seems like. And we're on board with Chaburko right now in the number 3 as the 8 car seems to keep doing the same moves about a few laps in a row. Pushes off the bottom just a little bit, almost gets into the side of the 3. We're good, and we're going into 1 to you, Evan.
Yeah, Brandon Chubhart Chaburko up there at the number 3 Goodwrench Chevrolet, working as the 2nd car in line on the outside. And again, this field significantly spread out. There is this lead draft of cars that we've been following primarily now. 1st through 13th as Mustakis is going to drop back to the high side. He'll slide back, guys. 13 cars in this lead draft, and then it's about 4 back to everybody else. And Mustakis, I believe, going to that high side, looked like an intentional move to drop to the back here. He led some laps. He wants to go back in line and ride and not have to deal with that constant pressure from the outside. So as things single file up front, that's going to leave Chaburko, the first car up high, with no help at the moment. The 08's going to get to him. That's going to be Cody Dutton. And now the 80 of Brendan Cattell is going to jump up high after leading the inside line.
Very interesting. Looks like these guys getting their 1 bonus point for leading a lap, and they're just dropping back. You know, must just be strategy, and I can't say I disagree with it. There's problems that happen in the front often, so they just don't want to be a part of it. The 8 car is now jumping up in front of Chaburko. Chaburko with a mad run is going to get up to the bumper of the 8, cannot push him, remember, and the 8 is still going to get a run from Chaburko. Chaburko has mastered the art of getting as close as you can without pushing him, and what that does is when they get the exit of the corner, Chaburko pulls right up his bumper and does, well, this. The 8 is going to lead the lap due to the push from Chaburko.
Dana Orbson's going to get the lead away from the number 81 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. They are side by side entering turn number 1 and 2. 8 on the high line from the help from the 3, the 81, the 7, and the 08 all on the bottom line. They're just racing nose to tail. Now back together on the back stretch. Now here comes the 08. He's going to go to the high line. He's going to leave the 81 and the 7 out to dry. Give the point to the high line as the 8 will say, you know, I'm going to go back down to the bottom, get that lead away. I want to just take that lead, and you know what? I want to stop the run on that bottom.
Jorgensen, one of our drivers that ran well 1 week ago in the shootout. The outside lane again was led by Chaburko, still is. The 08 is now tucked up behind him. That is Cody Dutton in the Budweiser Chevy. And we mentioned sponsors on these race cars, guys, and everybody tuning in live on YouTube and also on Twitch here tonight. You're looking at, again, on the ticker, and when these drivers, their names pop up with their details on how they're running, you're seeing that the number plates on there representing that of their car. So I want to thank not only Laura Lawson, but Rod Flag for putting in some time to get these race cars and their paint schemes and their numbers represented on the stream. And it really makes it a lot more immersive to see that, and it looks real sharp. So I want to thank Rod and Laura for getting that together for this week. But guys, still nose to nose up top, the inside. You have to anticipate to have the advantage when they go down into the corner there. And again, the outside lane unable to hook up, coming off of 4 there. So pretty good advantage that it ain't seen at the stripe. 1 car down pit road. I caught that out of the corner of my eye. Shane Fry coming down pit road. He had lost the draft. He brings his John Deere Ford in pit road, and he's getting some tires and fuel.
And right now, the two Dale Earnhardt Jr. paint scheme cars are battling for the lead. The 81 to the outside, the 8 on the inside. The 81's going to have help from Brandon Chaburko as they are going to push down the straightaway. Chaburko has a great run coming off the corner, and this is going to make him nose to nose as the three Earnhardt cars battle for the lead.
Yep, the 81, the 3, all trying to get that lead away. The 81 and the 3 are lined up on the high line, trying to get the run off turn number 4. One thing that you can do on that high line, we've seen it many times before, you can just get that run. As you see right there, the 81 just got right to the door of the 8. Entering the tri-oval, you're going to push him for as long as you can, as Chaburko is doing. You just try to get as close as you can in the corner now. You don't want to completely back off. You want to be as close as you can without hitting him. As now the 7's moving up the racetrack, is a little bit almost in the door of the 81. We go down the backstretch to Evan.
And guys, this lead pack is just absolutely leaving them. 6 seconds back now. Let's take a look back at the secondary pack, guys. It is led by the number 14th place car. That's going to be the 82 of Daniel Harrington. He has help with Brian Underwood. They pushed out of back straightaway. And this group also has some side-by-side action going on. But as they go into quarter number 3, our leaders already passing that entrance to pit lane at the start-finish line. So 6 seconds, and they're gaining, which I find surprising because you take a look back at these guys in that secondary pack, primarily running single file, which you would anticipate being faster than the side-by-side up front, but they lost another 3/10 that last time by. So again, if this thing goes green for a long time, and dare I say it, how about a green flag race all the way at Daytona? Knock on wood, it's not impossible. We've seen it in the past, as it likely no, with the way these super speedway races tend to go. It's just so hard to not slip up when you're running this close together with the rules package and the setup that the race controllers provided for these drivers here tonight. But if we get to the point where we say green flag pit stops, guys, those guys starting with a 6-second gap, that's not going to help them at all.
With new pit road entry rules, with the pit road speed actually being up 5 miles per hour at Daytona and Talladega, that should really make these green flag stops more interesting, because we will see guys speeding to pit road and they have a lot more room for error as there is a spinner.
Trying to get a number on that car as the one car through the grass is going to come back up into traffic. Does he catch anybody hard into the outside wall? There's the caution. It was Daniel Harrington. Caution flag going to fly. The number 82 machine got turned there coming through the tri-oval. He got sideways all on his own. He caught that double yellow line. And again, unlike Talladega, guys, with the banking has a little bit of a, some leniency. There's a little bit of maybe a slighter sloped area before you hit the flat of the apron. Not at Daytona. 82 got down there, got in the grass, got the 42 machine, the Under Armour car, got into the back of him. That was Brian Underwood. And Harrington got turned, guys, and he was able to pulling some like global rallycross stuff out of the hat there, trying to keep it off the inside wall. And thankfully for everybody else, guys, there's no way you're making that turn down through the grass there. He jumped over, looked like a manhole, went up, hit the outside wall, came down. Nobody else involved. But that is going to put us under our first caution flag, and it is going to see the number 7 machine, that is Rodney Wofford, up in the top spot in the Race Fan Racing Inc. Chevrolet.
Great driving there by Daniel Harrington. He just, I don't know.
Daniel Harrington just completely decided, I want to, have Ken block. I want him to come look at me real quick as I go through 1 and 2. Speaking of which, Evan, you kind of touched upon just the similar or the differences between Daytona and Talladega. Let me tell you a little bit about Daytona International Speedway. The turns are 31 degrees, and the tri-oval is 18, and the backstretch is at 2 degrees. Now, let me tell you something. When you hit the apron in the trial, that's 18 degrees. When you even clip that apron at Daytona, you go down to 0. That is an insane amount of banking difference. So when you hit that yellow line, it's going to spin you. As we have our leaders, led by Rodney Wofford, come down pit road. It's going to be interesting to see who's going to take 2 and who's going to take 4 and who's just going to take nothing, to splash and go.
Yeah, would not be surprised to see that splash and go strategy be put into effect. We have a couple cars that stay out. Jason Altmans does not come down pit road. Shane McKeechin will not come down pit road. Those 2 cars going to be the only ones that don't come down pit road. And looks like mostly fuel only. The 10 of Tom Mustakis stayed in for a lot longer than everybody else. He'll exit just in front of Rod Flagg. But the first one coming off of pit road is going to be, I want to say, and again, Waiting to see how everybody cycled through to get confirmation on that. 57 was the first one out, but I believe Jared Haggerty, who we saw again running up front in our shootout race, PD, 1 week ago, missed his stall. That's going to force him to have to come back down pit road. He'll get cycled towards the back of the pack. Thankfully for him, tonight is a pretty substantially length race, so he'll have time to try to work his way back up through there. But with the package that these guys have and the real draft pack settings that this race is pretty much run under, definitely not helpful in any way for his chances at trying to walk away with the trophy here tonight.
Certainly is not, and he will have a long road ahead of him. Looks like 2 cars may have stayed out. Shane McEachin and Jason Oltmans, maybe just to lead a lap. A lot of times Daytona, we'll see cars stay out and then come back down pit road next time by, simply with the effort to A, lead a lap, or B, maybe that pit window that they were just a lap away from being in. But either way, we may see these cars pit or may not. Maybe their strategy involves staying out. But so far, we have just seen some pretty incredible racing from the iSuperSpeedway guys.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is, they just want to get a groove for one another. They just want to kind of see, where do we want to go? How do we want to race it? You know, who's good, who's strong, who's not so good. Weed out the guys who aren't as good in the drafting, and they're going to find their way around. It's a very long race. Keep in mind this, it's a 310-mile, 124-lap, just grueling race here at Daytona. We pretty much run the equivalent of a nationwide series race, a regular nationwide series race here tonight under the great sunshine and beautiful Daytona, Florida. So the lights are still on the pace car, Evan. I think it should be interesting to see how long we're gonna kind of, bobble around and see how long it's gonna take for us to try to get in our groove again.
Yeah, these guys are working at, again, a new caution flag speed of 80 miles an hour. The pit road speed has been jacked up to 60. And again, we have seen some incidents on the super speedways where those guys at 5 miles an hour just throws them off just a little bit, and they'll be overshooting their stalls. But right now, it is Shane McEachin. He leads in the iSuperSpeedway 500 at Daytona. Lights still on the pace car. Going to take a quick moment to get our first commercial break in. We'll come back, coming up for the restart here in just a moment. Back live here at the Daytona International Speedway. Back at the Daytona International Speedway, iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series and the iSuperSpeedway 500, guys. Back up at the LSRTV broadcast booth to get this season officially kicked off with our first points race here on LSRTV, and we're working under our first caution flag at a race, guys. A pretty good opening stint, but it was interesting to see how quickly that lead pack of cars was able to just set sail, check out on everybody else. Over 6 seconds was the gap back to that secondary pack of race cars. Going to be interesting to see how well that second pack of guys is able to do on this next restart that's going to be coming up here not too long from now, as we take a look at the field doubled up behind the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car. Going to be a lap number 21 restart. As we roll through 3 and 4, the control car going to be Shane McEachin, Josh Hanner going to be on the outside of that front row. Those two cars at least stayed out. They did not come down for service under our first commercial break. So we get set to go green once again, and the leader cannot dictate the start. He has to go on the drop of the green flag via the sim, so it avoids any checking up. Green flag flies, now he is off. He's going to be neck and neck with that 21 machine at the start-finish line.
As these two Toyota Camrys race for the lead here at Daytona, side by side, the 7 of Rodney Warford getting a great push from Cody Dutton, and Josh Ball is there stacked up. Now they have to get off each other's bumper. The 8 is going to try to pull up to the 21 and try to help him. The 20 has the lead all to himself right now. Is going to try to control both the lines, going high, going low, but leaves a hole maybe. He doesn't know where to go right now.
Yeah, that's the problem with Daytona, especially in the super speedway, just where you want to go, what line you're going to be able to choose. The 21 car is going to go to the race lead. Josh Hanner is trying to get the lead away from Shea McEachin off turn number 4. The 20 with the preferred position in line off the speedway. He's going to try to push the 21 up the track just a little bit, but behind him you have the 8 and the 7. They don't really have any place to go. They're just going to have to ride for now, but the 21 car is just trying to keep pace with that 20, and he's doing just that here at Daytona.
4 on the outside, 3 cars on the inside as we work at a quarter number 2 and down the Daytona super stretch. Advantage once again going to go to the outside lane. Oh, the 81 goes down a little bit. The only issue with that is, guys, once everybody gets pushing, if you got 4 cars bumper to bumper to bumper, you could have some issues with that guy in the middle sometimes, and it's not been uncommon to see one of those guys in the middle just get shot in the line. Now we got caution, trouble back in the pack, a couple cars around in 3 and 4. The 4 cars involved, that's Tommy Hall. He's going to go around, and oh, big junk in 3 and 4. It starts in with the 22 cars. We work on getting the replay up. Looks like Ron Thompson either tried to get in behind the 96 or something. Just drove right to the left rear of him, going down into the corner, slid up pretty severely. That caused a big incident. At least 4 or 5 cars involved in that one. Looks like the worst of it going to the 4 machine. 18 also with some severe engine damage as we slow down for the pace car.
Tough break there for the 96. Really torn up his car. Not looking too healthy anymore. A lot of cars in that wreck. Slows things down once again here from Daytona. Once you get a groove of Daytona, the last thing you want to see is one of these cautions fly, because if a caution flies, you're going to get out of your groove. And that really hurts the other drivers, because as the old racing quote says, cautions breed cautions. And basically what that means is, while you're under caution, all these drivers have time to sit and they think about, what is my next move going to be? And 9 out of 10 times their next move will not work on the restart, and sometimes the drivers will still try it, and that creates more cautions.
What we saw right there in that caution period was exactly how these cars handle. These cars are meant to be wrestled just a little bit more. You can't expect them to go in the corner and, hold down right on the yellow lines. We're going to see that a lot today, is especially the nose does not want to sit and plant. The nose under dirty air doesn't like to sit there. As the 7 car looks like he's gonna fake pit real quick. It's one of those things to where if the nose doesn't plant all the way, it's gonna kind of dance. It wants to dance around and wants to go up towards the outside wall, and that's what we saw unfortunately in the last incident. So you're right, Petey, cautions do breed cautions, but the handling of how the race cars are really very well dictates how you're going to be able to run around these super speedways.
So guys, our second caution here tonight, this one coming rather quickly for the most recent one. We see a couple cars down pit road getting in some service. William Perry is down pit road and out. He will be followed by Brendan Cattell. Chad Keene is going to be on the racetrack still, but Cattell coming out of pit road. Ron Thompson on pit road. Ray Rittenauer in the Pittsburgh Penguins machine. He's on pit road. Jason Altman's on pit road along with Doug Sigmund, Charles Edwards, guys. So it seems on the majority of these cautions, either the guys that are towards the back end of the lead lap, they're just coming down pit road to get some service or at points damage control. But I mean, if you're at the back end of this lead lap of cars, I guess really nothing to lose from coming down, just topping off every time and hoping that, who knows, at some point in the race that could come around and pay big due dividends and could be a determining factor in how your race ends out.
That is very true, and, you know, pitch strategy we've seen prevail, especially these plate tracks. The fuel is being used up so much, especially with this. With the rule packages where you can push each other, or there's just a normal pack with no pushing whatsoever, you save a little more fuel, but for the most part, these guys are full throttle without someone pushing you, so that really uses up a lot of fuel, and probably the pit window, compared to another league that has no issue with pushing rules, I'd say these guys might have to pit 1 to 2 laps more earlier due to the lack of being pushed and saving gas, which in the long run could affect the outcome of the race. So pitting at any point in time, I think, is valuable.
Yeah, it's very true. In leagues that push, you have a guy pushing behind you, and you have the suck up from another driver in front of you. So you're not really using as much power to the engine, let's say, as by yourself. And the lead car, the thing with being the lead car, yes, it's fantastic to be the lead car, but in a fuel situation, in a fuel race, you're kind of the sitting duck, because you're the guy that is cutting the air for everyone else behind you. So you're pulling people as well as cutting the air, so you're burning more fuel, being faster up front, and not having anyone, you know, give you a pull towards the next driver. So that's something that, as a driver, you always kind of want to keep in the back of your mind is, do you want to be the lead car in a fuel situation, or do you want to kind of ride behind and have the other guy pull you along?
And again, we always have to talk strategy, and you know, you think of a plate track as the fact that you know, you'll see guys, and again, with this plate race, and I think it puts that much more emphasis on the fact that you're going to need track position. But again, also, you have to look at it, do you hang back, or, you know, do you believe that if hanging back will get you caught up in an incident? There's so many different ways that you can take an approach to these kind of races, and sometimes, again, they'll pay off, sometimes they won't. You know, I can guarantee you the whole field, again, not going to be playing the same strategy because track position is so important, guys. Maybe that's why we saw some of these guys stay out up front, hoping that maybe they can get on a different pit strategy, and the way the cautions will fly, maybe it'll benefit them when it's all said and done. Again, there's so many unknowns when you enter these restrictor plate racetrack races that, again, there's essentially no guarantees. And this series is obviously being named the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series, alternating between Daytona and Talladega throughout the course of the season as the lights go off at a pace car this time by. With that being said, they know how to run the super speedways. If you're talking about a league that follows the NASCAR series, they go here maybe 4 times a season to these plate tracks. They're going to be races that these guys just want to survive. The fact that this is every single race on the season forces these guys to adapt to them. They know how to drive them, but no matter how many laps you log at this, guys, every single turn is going to have you in a different scenario, and sometimes when it's not your night, it's not your night, and you're going to be taken out by things out of your control. It is very hard to control your own destiny at Daytona.
Yes, and very true. And back to what you said about track position being key here, you can't really... Oh. And as soon as you're racing side by side here, you go to the back, and once you're in the back, especially at Daytona, you cannot get back to the front very easily. It's not like Talladega. Talladega is very wide. You can make 3 wide moves, cut it up front, and make it to the front there. Not easily, but more easy than Daytona. At Daytona, you are side by side, and if someone tries to go 3 wide, 9 out of 10 times that really doesn't work too well.
No, it does not. As we're in turns 3 right now, your leader of the race as we run is number 20 of Shane McKeechan, and the 21 of Josh Hanner will be on the outside. As Evan, they're going to come to you to restart the race. Let's see what happens with the grooves we've been talking about and everything we've been talking about underneath this caution. Let's see how we get back into the swing of things here at Daytona.
And how many cars are going to be able to hang on and be part of this lead draft as we come for a lap 27 restart. This time, pace car dives down to the safety of pit road. Green flag flies back underway at Daytona. They bring them across the start-finish line, double wide through the field.
As they're racing side by side for the lead, Cody Dutton going 3 wide already. That's pretty early time to do that, but you know what? No time is better than the restart. As they're 3 wide for 5th right now. 48, 81, 08 is the 08 has no help at all, and he's just going to fall back, but Chaburko comes up to the high line to maybe help him, as they're still side by side for the lead, the 20 and 21. The 21 has a great push right now from the 8. The only question is, can he clear the 20 by the time they get into turn number 3? It's going to be close. Can he get there? He cannot. The 20 keeps a bumper in, and will keep this side by side battle alive going off into turn number 4.
The 20 continues to show muscle off turn number 4. He's going to put that Camry back to the point, and as you can see behind us, we're starting to lose the draft of the rest of the pack just a little bit more than what we normally see. There's a little bit of a gap as there's 4 cars on the inside line and about 5 on the high line now, as the 08 still kind of deciding where he wants to go. These cars, as you're seeing, they do come down a lane or so to try to get that side draft, as the 21 will again get that help from the 8. We're now 3 wide down the back stretch, as we're wiggling with the 10 car getting out of shape, has to catch himself before he wrecks it. We're going to 3. Back to you, Evan.
And that was Tom Mustakis. He's able to hang on to that without much further incident. The 8 car going to drop down and back in line behind the number 21. He stuck that nose up there a little bit in 3 and 4 to catch some air. So the 21 machine going to get help once again for the gate of Dana Osborne. How about the 77? The DeWalt Toyota machine up on the top lane, making his first appearance here and nearly inside the top 5. He was actually 6th place at the stripe. Matt Bontempi, after starting this race back, guys, 35th position, finds himself right now P5, and he has the liberty to choose which lane he wants to go with. He kind of rides that middle. He has to make a decision by the time he gets to the corner. He elects to take the outside lane along with the 81 machine behind him. Mustakis as well working the top. Now the 81 drops down to the bottom. That's Mark Jorgensen Jr. The 48 car also down there. That's Josh Ball, our in-race reporter, who we hope to talk to later on in the race.
The 21 keeps getting so close to coming down in the corners, but he cannot quite get the edge he needs. The 20 manages to keep a bumper in and maintain this lead as they're still side by side racing very hard, as the 77 is giving the 8 a nice push, which in the long run is helping out the 21. The outside line is making something nice happen, some very dominant cars up there. Our pole sitter Tom Mustakis is up there, Cody Dutton always fast is up there, and the outside line's having a lot of help right now. It's just a matter if the 21 can clear the 20 by the time they get to turn 3.
The 21 can get a run off the high line, and that's one of those things, is the high line can give you just that little extra push down the straightaways, but in the corners, preferably a Daytona. The shortest way around the track and the quickest is on the bottom, as Shane McEachin just continues to show the way at Daytona on the bottom, but this time by a photo finish at the line as the 20 is on the track. The 20 is on the apron.
The 81, big one, big one.
Oh, huge wreck.
Wrecking around in turn 1.
The big one gonna strike at 31. Oh, we're still wrecking down into the corner. That's what happens when you find trouble up at the front of the field. And it all goes back and starts with that number 20 machine who would have had it at the start-finish line. And looks like it was a little bit of a push there, guys. Or the 7 machine, no, the 20 just caught the apron again, went down there and no, it wasn't even him coming back up. It was the checkup that ensued. 7 went high, fearing that the 20 was going to be there. The 8 car was there, and everybody just ran out of room. 7 machine is going to be the one that gets turned in front of the field, and big junk going down into the corners number 1 and 2. The big one going to strike early here at Daytona.
Around 10 cars seem to have survived that cleanly. Some cars with even minor damage. But man, that was just a huge one. Cody was really lucky to miss that. He came close to being involved, but it happens at Daytona. In the tri-oval, if your tire hits the yellow line, you will get loose and you will come back up on the track. And when that happens, everyone overreacts. The 20 actually did a great job saving that car, but everyone else overreacted and just turned into a massive wreck.
Yeah, that is Daytona. That is what we call the big one. As we're going to go on board with the 13 machine. He just makes it through. He goes through the wreck on the banking. Many people elected to take the apron, and many people were involved as a casualty on the apron. Tom Mustakis also has a lot of damage to that 10 machine as well. He got involved very heavily. And that insult to injury, he also got hit again after the caution flew when he was trying to get going. But that's just the big one. That is what racing is truly all about. So that's the problem. One guy hits the apron, he moves low, everyone else checks up because they see a guy going low, and then from there it's on, because you're going 190, 200 miles an hour. You can't just hit the brake and let the guy go back up the racetrack, so it's very hard to gauge what you're going to do here at Daytona.
And again, it happens so quickly. Without warning, just one car gets loose for a split second. And the next thing you know, again, huge trouble down into the corner. And again, a lot of guys going to be involved in this one. Most of them, again, in the way it typically goes at these plate tracks, drivers that were not in the initial contact, but it's trying to get through it. And what happens is there are a couple of cars went down through the grass, and as everybody else, again, was trying to get around it, and the wreck had kind of settled down. I want to say that sparingly, but the wreck started to settle down, and then the fact that those cars that had elected to use that apron to try to avoid it ended up not being able to make the turn, much like we saw with our first incident in the race, guys. They ended up plowing into it as well, and then again, that only further escalating the incident to involve more cars once they reached that point.
Meanwhile, the lead has fallen in the hands of the number... sorry, that just blinked on me. On the number 77, the rookie of Matt Botempi has ended up in the lead through all the mayhem. He made his way through that wreck very nicely and missed all the damage. And just some great driving by him. I'm sure he didn't want to see his caution. No one really wanted to see it, but hey, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose with wrecks, and Matt Botempi was definitely a winner.
Matt Botempi driving the Matt Kenseth colors for next year. So he's showing the DeWalt boys proud. And it's just one of those things where it's the luck of the draw of Daytona, luck of the draw at super speedways. Your fate, as we said earlier, is dictated by, and your dictation is really based upon people that, you know, for the most part, is how you get up to the lead. For instance, if we look at qualifying, he went from 35th spot, our lead went from 35th spot all the way to the lead. That's just off drafting, everyone. That's off pure finding a line, finding the line that's moving, and then getting back to the race lead. In short track, super speedways, or even speedways, you might see a 35th place qualifier win the race. But at Daytona, it's so much easier because if you find the right line, if you're smart enough to know which lane you want to go into, you can easily get to the front, and that's what Matt Botempi did. The rookie showing that his veteran abilities here tonight at Daytona.
Yeah, just as much, again, and we always talk about the luck of the draw at Daytona, being in the right place at the right time. You guys are right. There is so much of it that is dictated by skill. And it's the balance that you find. You can run a perfect race, you'll be taken out. You can have a sloppy race, and you'll win it. But definitely taking these races by the right approach never hurt anybody. Look at the way this race has started. Again, with that incident happening with the guys at the front runners, here is a run-through of our top 5. Race leader started in 35th. Mark Brown, who's second, started in 29th. Greg Hooks, who started 25th, is in third. William Perry, pulling the double, who started 34th, is fourth. And the 5th place car of Casey Pierce started this race back in 20th.
These guys have just mastered the draft so far. And big shout out to William Tex doing the double tonight. He has somehow found his way from 34th to 4th. He must have followed Matt Botempi through all this carnage and hard racing. It's just been so much fun to watch. As we are still under caution here, we should be gaining 1 to go this time by, as the lights on the pace car will indeed go out, and they will double up, and then we'll get ready for another restart.
Now we've gotten the carnage out of the way, the thing that the drivers need to get out of their minds now is, okay, the wreck has happened, we gotta put the blinders back on, and we need to go back to racing. So the thing that Botempi really needs to do now is just protect that bottom line. That high line seems to get going, it can run right against the bottom groove, but the problem that the high line has, it just does not have enough guys to get it wound up all the way to pass whoever's on the bottom. They can get to a certain point. So for Botempi and the number 77 DeWalt Toyota, he's going to need to hug it against that yellow, hope the 98 can stay right to his bumper, and they can set that sail and set clear of the guys on the high line, and hopefully some more guys behind him.
So again, we get set for what's going to be another restart here, and going to take another crack at it. The field has been shuffled in the opening stages of this race, but the way we sit now, it does have Matt Botempi in the number 1 spot. Again, I kind of ran you guys through there where they qualify, but it is going to be Mark Brown who starts on the outside of that front row. And again, a lot of new faces as well as a lot of familiar faces here compared to the iSuperSpeedway shootout 1 week ago, which was reserved for LCQ winners and also people who have taken home a win in, you know, the A main, the B main, the Dash for Cash, and those kind of things. So that was kind of the all-star styled race they were just going at it for a trophy. And now, obviously, with the first points race, seeing a lot of new faces as we still have 30 cars on the lead lap. A handful of those machines are a lap down 31st through 35th. exit, 1 lap down. So still a lot of cars on track. Pace car down to pit road, green flag back out almost immediately after that. 73 machine able to keep a nose up with that 77 on the inside lane. Mark Brown on the outside. Doesn't quite have immediate help for the number 70 of William Perry up top. Going to be advantage to those guys down on the bottom going down to 1.
They race side by side. Nap on Tempe is starting to get a little bit of help from the 98. They are pulling away a little bit. Well, pulling away Daytona-wise, the 21 is the first car on the inside that will get to their bumper, and he should be able to pull up the third. The outside line didn't go at all. Tex Perry could just not get to the back bumper of that second-place car on the restart, as they are racing side-by-side for about 4th right now, and that was the first side-by-side battle as Map on Tempe is set sail with the 98.
The bottom lane is starting to check out from that top lane. There's only 3 cars on that high line right now, as the 77 continues lead with the 98.
Oh, big trouble, the 10, Tom Mustakis, hard into the inside wall, up and over the fence. Tom Mustakis just got turned at a corner number 4 after a check of the 29, guys. He hit the inside wall, had a little bit of lag, went up over the inside retaining wall, and got sent out of the track. He's going to have it like a 3 or 4 minute tow. And just like that, one of our top runners, pole sitter, could be eliminated from this race out of nowhere.
My God, he hit that wall so hard, it literally sent his car straight through the wall, over the fence, and onto pit road. What a hard hit Tom Mustakis took there. No caution comes out because it was off the racing surface. We continue to race up here for the lead, but that was a tough break for Tom Mustakis. Had one of the best cars all night, and now he's sitting here back in the pits battle for the lead. He ends up with the 98 and 73.
Oh, man! Just about when we're about to get settled in, Tex Perry just about wiggled out into control of that 77. Keep in mind, when that 98 car just took the lead on the high line, using that 73 as his partner, got around that 77. So this is what I'm talking about when it comes to that high line. You can use it to your advantage if you can get the right line, you can get the right timing down to get around them. Now Tex Perry up to the high line, back down low. He's having a little handling issues with his number 70 Toyota. As the 77's not going to jump up to the high line, he's going to try to do the same thing. Nope, he's going to try to fall back in line, try to get that draft of the 98, and now he's going to be left out to the high line. Nowhere to go for that 77.
So he will now lead the outside charge, P2 at the start-finish line for Bontempi. And again, we talked about the fact, guys, that the car that's going to be leading the lanes is going to obviously have the coolest temperatures because they're going to have fresh air getting to the engine, but they're going to burn off a little bit more fuel than the guys that are, in the middle of the pack checking up and, not always on the throttle 100%. So don't think it's going to be to the point where, it will affect them and kind of get them out of sequence with everybody else when everybody would come down pit road if we were to see green flag pit stops. As the 22 car, we talk about the push that these cars get into the corner. Ron Thompson brought out that first caution, and the second one for stepping at line. 17 car way down low now, also 3 wide. There goes the 8 machine to the middle. Oh, the 70 is going to get turned. William Perry, the 22, the 23, and at the 18, and a huge wreck now. Multiple cars, about 5 or 6 of them involved through the tri-oval and back under caution, guys. Just like that, so quickly, out of nowhere, things are calm, and then somebody gets turned around.
Definitely tough break for Tex Perry. Found his way through this field, and that happens, and that must just be frustrating as a driver. You make way to the front, you get there, and then that happens. But that is racing, and he'll get back into the front. I'm not too worried about that, but for some of them cars, they took a little bit of hard hit in there, like Rod Flag has some pretty bad damage. But what this caution does provide us with is Tom Mustakis should be able to return to the track, and it appears he is only 2 laps down, so he's really not out of this race yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, guys, if that 70 had a cut tire. I mean, just the way that he came down, he's been bobbling for a few laps now, just trying to, get the car under control. You saw it a few laps earlier, just him wiggling around a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a tire going down or something, because it was just a complete loss as soon as he hit the tri-oval right there. Took out some great cars, but you know what? That's just, again, the byproduct of super speedway racing. As we are on lap 41 of 124 here live at the iSuperSpeedway 500 Daytona International Speedway for the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series. Josh Hanner continues to lead the way in the number 98. Greg Hoops leading the way, then it's Josh Hanner. So just one of those things, guys, where we can kind of see where these cars are handling, they're not as bad on the straights, but in the corners they're just manhandling.
And we're gonna try to get a word with our in-race reporter, driver of the number 48 machine, that is Josh Ball. I'm gonna try to locate him and get a quick word with him on the radio, as again we try to work our radio communications with him. And Josh Ball, it's Evan Pasoko, P. Zeller, Rents Brown in the LSRTV broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got a copy.
Well, this race started off with a good green flag run, and these last few incidents have almost appeared out of nowhere, just very quick, not a lot of time to react. You find yourself running right now in 25th position, so not where you want to be. What's gone down so far that's gotten you cycled back?
Basically, I actually tried to come to the back in the beginning of the race. My plan was to run with a couple people in the back, avoid all these wrecks to start with, so it worked out pretty good to begin with, but obviously wrecks are getting big, so.
What's your approach to the rest of this race? Again, currently working lap 42, so just about a third of the way through the action here. We see you coming down pit road. Is the idea pretty much come down whenever you can there, as long as you ride around to the back, top it off, and get back out?
Yeah, we got a couple of people running around in the back, and we're just trying to stay in the back right now, so, bring it down the pit road pretty much till around lap, 80, 90, and then, start to go.
And before we let you go, obviously you're coming off of your shootout win 1 week ago here at Daytona under the lights. Is there any real major differences that these cars see? Again, Daytona, most guys just come in for fuel only. Anything different at all between the, running this track in the daytime as opposed to at night?
I tell you what, it's been a lot slicker out today during the day instead of last week. The cars are sliding around a lot more. As you can see, I don't know if you saw the 20 got loose on the front stretch before that last wreck, and he just got loose in the trioval. Didn't hit anybody, just lost it. So it's definitely looser out here today.
All right, Josh, we hope to talk to you later on in the race here. Before we let you walk away, any shout-outs you want to throw out there while we got you on the radio?
Just shout out to everybody in front of me, and hopefully they don't wreck. So that's my shout-out for right now.
Copy that, Josh. Well, thanks for taking a word to talk with us, and good luck here moving forward in this next stint of the race.
Thanks, guys.
So, guys, that is our in-race reporter tonight, Josh Ball, again, and we touched on it that it was going to be a little bit slicker, but again, he's giving you a first-hand account there as he's 18th at the start-finish line, as it appears that we're going to be doubling up here to get set for possibly another restart. No, light's still on the pace car as we run right now, but I mean, he said it's slick, guys, and that would make a lot of sense considering some of the incidents we saw, and including that most recent one there when you saw the 70 machine just almost lose it in the middle of the trioval.
Before I look at that wreck, I just think Tex was trying to get down to the low line. I think he made such a sharp turn, and the banking was still in the middle of transition. I think whenever he started to turn, it just got loose, and whenever it gets loose, I think the air just caught up underneath the left side of that car and spun him right around to the pack. Was out of his hands at that point, just made too sharp of a turn, a little misjudgment there. Not too big of a deal. Everyone got their car fixed for the most part, and they're ready to go back out there and battle again.
Yeah, Ben, I do like that 48's idea. I love what Josh had to say there, where he's just laying in the back. I mean, that's probably the safest place to be in the entire racetrack, Be in the back, stick to the draft, but when it's time to go, it's time to go. And right now it's really not time to go. I mean, we're not even halfway in this race, so for someone like Josh Ball, it's just a smart move, Stick in the back, and then when it's, literally, we saw it, not even 2 hours ago with the other race that we broadcasted, guys. I mean, you can come from as far back as 43rd, or you can come as far back as 11th. It doesn't matter until that checkered flag. So it's all about strategy here at the super speedways, and we're starting to see it as the pace car lights have been turned off.
You can't win the race if you're not still in it, and that's the key again. And a lot of times you'll hear drivers that say you can't win it down in turn one, but you can definitely lose it. Also, to make note again, we see these cars that have been caught up in incidents, they've been moving back forward. The iSuperSpeedway officials have given them 4 resets, which is quite a high number than you'll typically see. That's been bumped up just for the length of this race. So typically it's a lot lower than that, so you'll see these guys be able to try to come back out here and make their way up through the field. Just to make a quick note on that one. And Actually, it's going to be automatically delayed as the 7 of Rodney Wofford is stopped on the front straightaway. I think it was trying to let somebody by, and because of that, the sim is actually delayed the green flag for one more time around.
Very frustrating for the drivers. They're just getting ready to go green. Everyone's getting ready for the restart, and that's delayed. The last thing they want to see, especially for the 98 of Greg Hooks. Greg Hooks has done another amazing job getting through this field. Started 25th up to first. Really came into this race with high confidence, said he really liked the setup in the car, and he really felt like he had a car that could win here today, so not surprised to see him out front right now.
Nah, I'm really not surprised to see him out there at all in front. I mean, and even for the drivers, I'm just kind of beside myself just a little bit right there. As a driver, you want to get back going racing. You don't want to be under caution and be, you know, underneath this daze, as I call it. It's more of a daze. You want to get back to, you know, back to the full song, going as hard as you can, all of it. And when you get those cautions, or extended cautions, you know, it kind of puts you back in your mindset. But other times, especially with having an extra lap or so, it kind of gives you some more time to think if you're not really that prepared. But if I'm the leader, I just want to get back going green, because it's been shown every single time that bottom lane on the restarts is the preferred lane to be on. And the fact that it's slick, I don't think the high line is going to have as much grip as we're anticipating it to have. So I believe this 98 car is going to be set for at least a few laps in that lead spot.
A couple of these fast cars that we've seen up front in the race have been shuffled to the back and are on pit road getting some 4 tires and fuel before they roll back out. That includes Brendan Chaburko, Casey Pierce, the 87 machine of Ray Rittenauer as well, as we are doubled up behind a pace car, and we will get set to take this green flag. William Perry going to be receiving the EOL penalty, the end of the longest line penalty. He's going to have to go all the way to the back of all the cars on the racetrack for being deemed the cause of that most recent caution after again coming down in the corner, Pete. And I think you're right there. He pulled a little bit of a Denny Hamlin, tried to make that sharp, aggressive move down to the bottom, and the car just went around. Again, it's very slick. It's hot out there. If you look at the the weather temperatures and all that, and the weather settings, it's 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The track degree, however, it's 96 degrees Fahrenheit on that track. 70% relative humidity, and there's a 7-mile-an-hour wind to the northeast. So, the weather conditions battling against these cars in many ways, which can be adding to the way they handle and obviously modifying the way you got to run this race to be successful. So pace car gets set to once again down pit road. The 98 going to be in control of this one and hooks off immediately. Green flag flies, and a great start for Josh Hanner on the outside. He'll make it nose to nose at the stripe. Inside, however, will have that advantage. They're going to dive it down into quarter number 1.
Such a short restart box here in Daytona. You just got to go almost immediately or at the green, but you have a very small window there, so we side restarts on everyone tonight, but so far the inside has prevailed every time. The 73 pushing the 98 out to the lead, and the 21 has no help up there, and he will get in the line, and that will make things single file until you get to 5th, as the 33 and 17 are racing side by side. Meanwhile, Greg Hooks is being pushed by a 73, and they're pulling a little bit away.
Yeah, the single file train we got going on will start to pull away from the guys running side by side, as that is just the nature of the beast of aerodynamics at super speedway racing, where the guys in a line in a draft train, as sometimes we call it, can just get going. As we got one, oh man, he just about lost. Let's see if we can get a number on him.
Oh, another car down in the grass. We got a bunch of guys off track here. We got the 15. It's the 088 machine of Kent Connolly. It was the first car down there. Another car ended up in the grass. It was the 15 of David Schutma, who he lost it on his own again in the tri-oval. Got turned down, went through the grass, was able to whoa it up enough so that they didn't bounce off the outside wall. He's able to hang on. That's going to cost him a lot of time. And now this front of the pack here, single file on the bottom.
You remind me of a race at Watkins Glen not too long ago where there was oil on the track. I don't think that's the issue right now, but it sure feels like if these drivers, they can just pull their car in this tri-oval. For some reason, the tri-oval is extremely slick. We have seen 4 wrecks already caused there tonight, and we almost just saw another one. Racing for the lead, but things are spread. We saw about 3 guys almost lose it in the tri-oval, but the lead pack is really starting to pull away from that second pack once again.
Yeah, one of the things with the tri-oval too is there's people keep hitting that double yellow line entering that tri-oval, and these cars get displaced a little bit with just the weight starts moving around a little bit, the nose starts wiggling, and at that point the driver feels it. He feels he needs to counter steer more, so he puts more wheel into it, and then from there it's just on for the ride. These cars do not like hitting that apron because it just destroys all the handling you have. As now the front 6 or front 7 or so are just single file nose to tail. The real battle on the racetrack we're even having is for about 11th to 12th. The 8 car of Dana Osborne is racing the 08 and the 83 and everyone else behind them. That's the only real battle we have on the racetrack, is everyone else is trying to get single file.
I'm surprised to see that number 54 of Dennis Wright want to go to the high side. He was third in line on the bottom. Don't expect him to get help. 21's going to go through to the bottom, take that spot away. 17 car as well, and that's going to cycle the 54 back. So unless that was his plan, I don't quite understand the idea behind going to the top side. I'm assuming he must have been hoping that somebody was going to go with him. But it is this point in the race, if you're a fan of green flag racing, you got to look at the split times. Okay, it's the top 7 within half a second, and then about a second plus out of it is everybody else. Everybody else is 2 wide. So our leaders, first 7, are the ones that are single file. Double file back here. Outside lane is led by the 8 machine of Dana Osborne as they come through the corner, and he's working with Rod Flag trying to make up some ground, and they're able to actually close in on this lead draft of cars as the 8 and the 23 dive down low. Look at the huge run by that 8 car to the high side. Needed to get way out high because they got such a wicked run. They're not even pushing, and he's passing 3 cars in the corner.
Meanwhile, they're getting squirrely back here, and they all saved it. I do not know how they all saved it. That was almost really bad back here. And they have made a single double file now. They're just 3 wide, but meanwhile, back to the battle for the lead. They are racing so hard right now, it just amazes me that they have not wrecked again. These guys doing a great job. Greg Hook still in the lead. Things have calmed down for the lead a little bit. First battle for third. The 21 and the 8 side by side. That's going on for about 4 rows deep. It's there racing, getting them side drafts off the corner, trying to get hooked up on the straightaway, and the 8 looks as to cleared the 21. And he will not pull the line. He wants more. He's going to go for it all on the outside.
That 8 looked like he grabbed another 100 horsepower down that backstretch a lap ago. He's going for second now. He's battling as hard as he can. He's in the 3rd spot. Keep in mind, I just talked about him about 2 laps ago. He was 11th. Make him now 2nd, it seems like. He's going to go for the race lead. There's only 4 cars on the high line. And there goes the 8. The 8 gets turned around. We're all wrecking the 17, the 08, the 48. Josh Ball's involved. The entire field, that was byproduct of bump drafting in the corner. The 8 goes from hero to 0 in less than a corner.
Oh, they're still wrecking. The 83 just got,
And it all starts with the 23 machine lead organizer of Rod Flag comes down a little bit just as the 73 pushes up, and it ends up turning the number 8 machine around, and again in front of that pack collecting a lot of cars. As again, pretty much the whole field was still bumper to bumper from there on through. Again, that secondary pack had just once again caught back up with that lead draft of cars, which evidently made that incident a lot bigger than it would have initially been. And everybody tries to go down to the apron there and get around it. And as the drivers put it, all hell breaks loose that quickly. And again, a lot of our front runners torn up. You don't want to run like you have those quick fixes, in your back pocket. But a lot of these guys, they'd be out of the race if it wasn't for that saving grace.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're real happy about it. Only guy who's not happy at all right now, Greg Hook's the leader. Just wants to see some green flag racing. He's loving this view right now, and he has to run it under caution and avoid calamity on a restart each time. These cautions have really affected the leaders, really affected the pack, really a bunch of torn up cars, but they get their quick repairs. But they're going to start running dry. There's a few guys who I think have already used around 3 or 4, and they're going to come in at a few pit stops and see, well, you have 15 minutes of required repairs, and it might just be dumbfounded to them. They might be thinking that they had one in their pocket, but in reality, they have used them all being involved in these wrecks.
Man, oh man, what could have been for that 8 car in that last run. The 98 is just playing it cool, playing it smooth, just playing like a smooth criminal, just riding around at Daytona on the bottom, not much else happening. He about had a run for his money, but I wouldn't be surprised if the leaders start making their pit stops here and try to refill and try to go a little bit further on the distance, as the 98 will dive in pit road. Your leader, Greg Hooks, is coming down. I don't believe anyone else is following him, as everyone else stays out on the racetrack. you can give the race lead to the number 23 of Rod Flag.
Not something that you typically see at Daytona. The whole leader comes down, everybody else stays out, or leader stays out, everybody else comes down. But it goes down there, and you're going to see him come down pit road. Hooks is in for service since he has the time, but he realizes he's going to lose a lot of spots. He's going to put 4 tires on it while he's there. The 17 of Tanner Mann, who was involved in that incident, really had nowhere to go. His machine torn up. He was forced to take a tow back to pit road, so he's going to have to wait a couple of minutes for that tow to be completed. Meanwhile, one of these other guys, including our in-race reporter Josh Ball, who was involved in that incident as well, because they were able to limp back to the pit lane on that one, they're able to save a lot of time and use hopefully a quick fix if they still have one, as Josh is down there and he has gotten a quick fix, so he's going to get a brand new race car. But we're working under the caution flag period. It is the 23 of Rod Flag leading. Get a step away for another commercial break. You're watching the iSuperSpeedway.com Racing Series Season 3 on LSRTV, the iSuperSpeedway 500 at Daytona. Closing in on the halfway point. We'll see you on the other side.
That was a veteran move right there, buddy. That was awesome. You're doing a great job. Fantastic job, buddy. That was a very, very impressive performance today. Great job, everybody. Great job. Very proud of you, buddy. You had to work your butt off for that one, man. Back in your seat there, man. Give those belts a good tug. Double check your steering wheel. Get a good look at your switches. Get ready to go here, buddy. Pit crew. Can we get a thumbs up from everybody? Okay, whatever. Our backup channel. Make sure everybody's on it. Can hear me? So you're going to be in the middle of a dogfight here. What do we need to try to do, do you think? Need to be a little tighter or a little looser?
Back live at Daytona International Speedway, one lap fresh off of a restart, and things got pretty hairy mid-pack there. Everybody able to hang on for the moment, and up front in the top of this field, it is currently the number 23 of Rod Flag. 3 wide back as it looks like one of these cars, the 54, going backwards on the outside lane, going to drop back down in line now as they work down the back straightaway. That was Dennis Wright as he sits in the number 12 position the last time by the start-finish line. Again, you're tuning into the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series, and now we got trouble now. Somebody's around. I saw some smoke in 3 and 4. Hearing the 18 machine may have some issues. Oh, it is, and a couple of them are going to pile it afterwards down in 3 and 4. And it happened up in front of these guys trying to get a number on that. We had a couple of cars that were significantly below speed. And once again, it's that turn 3 wrench. You talked about it before. 78 went to the corner. It just didn't turn. And the 78 machine just went straight up into the wall. Turned that 13 machine, and a couple of the guys got piled in there as well. That one towards the back of the pack.
Very vicious wreck here once again. We've seen quite a few cautions today. This has just been a very interesting occurrence of events to watch. These guys are racing so aggressive at this point. Cautions are breeding cautions. I feel like if these guys go for green for about 10 laps, they would be okay as we approach the halfway point in this race. So far, the leader right now is Rod Flag.
Yeah, and Evan, that's the problem with these cars, just the handling. As I keep saying all night, that they just kind of hit the bottom of when they hit that apron, it just disrupts the car so much to where, you know, you're not going to have everything there. And for that 78 car, I mean, Nationwide is definitely not on his side today, as his insurance will definitely go up after that wreck. But again, for the leader, it's another one of those, you get going, you know, you get in your rhythm, and then you have to stop.
So rolling forward, we have the NASCAR Nationwide Series puns being thrown out here in the Cup car, so the irony will add to that one. But I mean, this race, and they have a 3-hour limit on this race. Don't think we're gonna go anywhere near that, because only about an hour into this race, nearly at the halfway point at the moment. But how about Rod Flag, guys? Again, league organizer responsible for putting together all those driver plates, those numbers that you see on the ticker that make it so much more immersive, that represent the cars, and really, and I think add a better feel overall to the broadcast there. He's up in front. He does so much for the league. And again, iSuperSpeedway.com. Check out their website, because again, I believe that it's one of the better looking websites for iRacing leagues. It's always updated throughout the weeks. So Rod Flag responsible for all that, guys. And he wouldn't mind not having to ship that trophy out and just keeping it on his desk at the end of the night, as he sits P1 right now.
Sure would save him a lot of money in shipping, but Rod Flag has done an excellent job. He's kept his car pretty clean for the most part tonight. Out front right now, very deserving. Missed most of these wrecks. As things are starting to shake through, we're starting to see some cars not getting repairs anymore. They have already went through 4, and we're not even halfway yet. Very costly as one car is out of the race, that being the number 90 of Shane Fry and the number 97 of Jason Altmans. As we are getting down to the grind of it, when we get halfway in a couple laps, things will start to intensify. You thought it was intense already? Wait till we get past halfway. These guys know they're low on repairs, and they are low on patience.
That is very true. That is very true on the way that we're looking at it right now. That 23 car in that race lead, Rod Flag, he's just gonna kind of just do what he can out in the front of the pack. But the thing is, especially with the 81 car, he's been very, very strong, guys, up in mixing it up all night long. A guy that we need to give a little shout out to is the 18 Kellogg's Toyota Camry. He's, you know, that 18 car has just kind of been there. I mean, he's going to be pretty good. So I don't know, Evan. I think we're in for a great next couple of we're not even halfway. Maybe the next half of this race, we're going to see a little bit more racing. Hopefully not as much wrecking.
Yeah, that exquisitely painted number 18 Kellogg's machine that I know, Wrench, you were talking about. You love that design. It is very bright. I relate it to the... and you guys don't know, but these guys are whispering in my ear. and they're messing with me, but the 18 machine got that bright Menard style, the highlighter yellow on his Kellogg's Toyota. So it is good to see Jimmy Todd, who qualified for this one again, 31st position. He's in a that's the number 18 machine. Started 31st, sits third right now. And guys, we're halfway through this race. We've seen this field almost get inverted. There's been guys from the front going backwards, from the back going frontwards, and then, you know, almost doing the whole cycle again. We still got a halfway through this race. I don't think there's any way that we can predict who's going to be, you know, going to victory lane or even in the top 10 the way this race has been going so far, because, again, almost turning into a survival of the fittest style race.
Right now, the most safest places seem to be the lead. The guys in the lead have not got much trouble tonight, as we have seen things escalate here lately, but Rod Flag has not been escalating, as he is in the lead over Mark Jorgensen and the number 18 we were just talking about. They've all kept their cars fairly clean, and they're doing a great job tonight. Glad to see them all run good, and they're out front as we get one to go till the restart, and this is about to heat up.
The flagman holds up one finger saying that we got 1 lap to go. The pace car lights have been shut off. And as we're going through it right now, Rod Flag is your race leader, the number 23. And the 81 Diet Mountain Dew Chevrolet on the high line is in the second position. And guys, we've seen all night long, so the high line cannot get the grip. They cannot get the grip on the restarts. So the 23 car should get the jump, barring he doesn't miss a shift. So as long as we keep doing that, we should keep going the same way. The 23 should get the jump. The 18 might be able to get around the 81. But as we've been seeing, no one's really safe with how much grip that we're losing on track. It's a very slick, greasy track tonight. So it's going to be interesting to see how these cars start handling, especially with half of them hitting the apron.
And we're going to be going green to take lap number 63. So with my advanced mathematics skills, 124 laps, it is going to be the halfway point, guys, this time by. Which means that also, again, we've seen the hard racing to this point, the anticipation and the aggressiveness these drivers have shown. Now that we hit the second half of the race, again, that's only going to be ramped up that much more, and it's only going to get that much more exciting. Daytona, not as much room as when these guys will head to Talladega for race 3 on the season. Again, they alternate between Daytona and Talladega. Next race, race number 2, going to be an off week this next week, but we'll be back at it 2 weeks' time, Daytona, for their B-Main, the A-Main. That's when we will return to the regular lap formats, but obviously tonight they're 500 to get it kicked off, and halfway this time as the pace car down, green flag flies, an advantage, actually going to go to the outside lane. Mark Jorgensen Jr. with the nose by 1/1000th at the start finish line. Flag going to leave the inside lane. Neither of them have immediate help. First car to get some assistance is going to be Rod Flag. The 18 machine and Jimmy Todd going to be helping him out.
The big advantage for the 23 is the outside is the shorter way around the racetrack, which will get him around the corner faster. The 81 timed that restart perfect, though, and got side by side with Rod. This is the first restart we've really seen where the leader is at immediate competition. The 5 is pushing the 81, and they're going to try to take the lead here in caution.
We got trouble down the back straightaway. Caution flag going to fly, and again, something just out of nowhere, very abruptly down the back straightaway. Looks like the 08 machine went to make it 3 wide. That's going to be Cody Dutton, 42. The Under Armour Chevrolet cut down on him. It turned the 4 machine and the 27 around down the backstretch. 27 car going to go heavy into the inside wall. Everybody else is able to get around that one with ease, for that matter. And that was just one of those incidents, guys, where everybody's getting up to speed. They're trying to get in line because, again, I think at this point those guys are starting to get desperate. You can't blame them. They know that there's getting a lot of cautions. They don't want to be the cause of the next one, but the fact that they are getting a lot of cautions restricts the ability that they have back in the pack to be able to get a green flag run, to have the ability to pick up positions as they run through this race. So with everybody back there starting to drop backwards from that lead draft, everybody is trying to get whatever position they can to obviously stay up with that lead draft. And because of that, it's what considered and what created that incident right there. And that's what happened down the back straightaway. But we go once again to a caution break. And again, not only the driver's not satisfied with the way this race has been going, obviously not happy with the amount of caution flags so far. And race control, which I have to mention, Frank Busilia III is up in the race control for this season. Frank took home actually 2 checkered flags and was one of the top runners in this series. One year ago there for their season 2, he led the championship for the first half of the season, but eventually come home in 4th position, taking the role as the tower for this year. So I want to give a shout out to Frank Basilia III. The eye in the sky letting the drivers know that they need to settle things down here just past the halfway point.
These drivers are getting really uneasy in these fire suits right now and really frustrated. The ones that are up front racing clean and good are getting really upset with the ones in the back. They just can't stand these cautions. Nothing's worse than a caution at Daytona, and these drivers are trying to tell their fellow competitors to just calm down at this point. Nothing is quite as bad as this as a driver. You just have to sit here and take it. There's no way around it. You can't just set your car to drive itself, which I'm sure some of these guys wish they had cruise control. But sadly, they still have to run under pace laps, and they're going to probably get more and more frustrated if this trend continues. I really hope they break this trend because some of the drivers are starting to get really upset.
17 car of Tanner Mann gets the wave around. He'll be, I believe, back on the lead lap if I'm correct, and I am. So one of the things as a driver that I have a big pet peeve is when we go into green, then we get the yellow, go into green, get back to yellow. It throws your groove off. I get frustrated as a driver because all you want to do is stay green. It doesn't help your strategy, your situation. Some guys might be trying to pull strategy to where they were going to short pit and jump the leaders. Now they have to reverse that strategy, and they might have to come in, maybe even now, and still make that short pit. But you want to do it under green, because therefore when everyone else has to pit, you have that opportunity to be the leader under green, and it might work out to your favor. But with how the cars have been handling today, as I keep saying, no one is safe at Daytona, not even the pace car.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, if we continue to go through this, somebody may be instructed by their crew chief to go out and hit the pace car. Not sure if that's going to be a likely scenario, but as we work under the caution flag right now, again in the lead is Rod Flag up at the top of the board as we are past the halfway point. And not only to us, not only the people watching, guys, but also it's the drivers that really want to see green flag racing. And PD, you touched on it there. The only thing that's worse than a caution lap at Daytona is a caution lap at Pocono because it's longer. But that's besides the point there on a little bit of a sidebar. But again, these drivers want to race. You know, there's so much anticipation into this. They went through all the practice sessions. They qualified. You know, they had a 30-minute practice here to get their cars finally tuned up at the end there. Everybody on a fixed setup. So it was all about learning what you could do with this car on this track and the rules package that you were given by race control. And then you get here to the race, and it started off so good, 20+ laps of green flag racing. And, just a little bit of an incident brought us under yellow. But I think it's the fact, PD, again, the fact that you can't push into corners, the big pack racing, is the fact that because we had cautions breed cautions, these guys just can't get far enough apart from each other to be able to knock off, another long green flag stint.
Definitely. And it's just tough. It's one of the things that you're just going to have to deal with. But hopefully they'll slow down. Maybe with these cautions have made these drivers think, we need to stop. We can't be doing this. And hopefully they'll be getting less cautions moving forward. And we'll have a moment under caution. I'd like to thank Rents Brown for joining us in the booth. He was originally just going to go back to his hauler in the infield of Talladega, but instead he got on the plane and came to Daytona with me and Evans. So thanks for joining us tonight, Rents.
No problem. As the pace car is about to make its way off of pit road, the booth is just a much safer place than being in that. And pace car will just remain the lights on. I really just want to go back racing here, boys. I mean, at this point, Talladega isn't that far. You just want to go back and come back again. I mean, we have some pretty fast planes.
I was gonna say, how did we get from Talladega to Daytona at about a 15-minute period? So, I mean, if we're onto something, we better sell that patent to like a Boeing or something, and could make a couple of bucks off of that. But again, we are in the second half of this race, and it is a long one, so we're having some fun up here in the broadcast booth. Hope everybody is enjoying the green flag racing that we have seen so far. This race is providing some very interesting, maybe some cool camera shots of some of the incidents. But again, and we can't stress enough, these drivers want to go green flag racing. We want to see green flag racing. And I have no doubt that we're going to be able to get this thing back on a green flag run as the lights are off at a pace car. We're going to go at it again, guys. It's going to be a lap 68 restart in this 124 lap affair so far. About an hour and 15 minutes since the drop of the green flag that has gotten us to this point. And the front row is going to be Rod Flagg and Mark Jorgensen. And one of the notes that I talked about, guys, at the top of the show was the fact that with the open registration for this race throughout the week, you're going to be racing with guys that you don't race with every week. Again, the majority of these guys, regulars here, and a lot of them, again, expect better of themselves. They know that they can do better. They've raced in better than this with this, obviously, a lesser amount of cautions than we've had so far tonight. And it's also, you know, just circumstances, the hot, slick racetrack. But again, a lot of these guys, they don't know how each other races. It's really hard to adapt to a new face on a super speedway and be able to click and race, you know, hard and side by side with someone that you've never raced before until you kind of feel them out a little bit and you can understand what their driving style is. So pace car is down. Rod Flagg going to be in control once again. His Toyota going to lead us back to the green flag. And it is going to be the 81 machine leading the outside lane. That's Mark Jorgensen Jr., two abreast throughout the field as we head into 1 and 2.
Meanwhile, Mark Jorgensen got a great restart. The 18 will get the bumper of 23. He cannot push him in this corner. They will have to rely on the line advantage. They will try to side draft, getting really close to each other. The 81 is getting that side draft. The 5 is almost on his bumper, and now he is on his bumper on the exit of the corners. They're going to get a great run. Can Mark Jorgensen be clear of them before they get into turn number 3? We are about to find out. It will be close. And I don't think he's going to quite get there. No, he will not. Rod Flagg has the advantage in the 3 as they race side by side, pulling even once again. That 5 car cannot push the 81. He thought about it, but thought better of it and abided by the rules.
As we're come off into the front stretch now, it's going to be a dead heat at the start-finish line. This time by, you can give that to the number 81 of Jorgensen. He got the race lead. As we go into turn number 1, can he finally get clear and drop in front of that number 23? He cannot, but that high line is starting to form though. 4 cars under a blanket trying to go back as far as they can, as hard as they can, but the bottom line is just going. They are just lined up nose to tail, single file for about 6 rows back. So Evan, it's going to be interesting to see how this 81 car, he lost another guy behind him. How it's going to be interesting to see if they can get that high line finally moving.
Tom Mustakis to the garage. His night is done. William Perry doing the double here tonight. He is back in the garage as well. And 2 disappointing finishes for him. And something going on at the back of the pack. We got 1 car. Only 1 machine is off speed on the apron. I see the 21 of Josh Hanner is slow. And, just got body slammed into the corner. Looks like the 7 machine had a huge run. The 088 just pushed up in the middle of the corner without warning, guys. An innocent victim, the 21 of Josh Hanner, into the outside wall. Didn't have an immediate wreck, but the caution flag is thrown, and it is thrown by race control. It's not actually thrown by the sim race control. I'm going to throw it so that the 21 machine does have a fair and equal shot at this race. He'll have to come down pit road. He'll have to try to get his machine fixed once again. At a pace car, going to catch up in front of Rod Flagg as we work down in the 3 and 4. And when we have this, again, another moment under the caution flag, when I take a quick moment to talk some Trek facts about the Daytona International Speedway, coming fresh off of that incident there with the 21 car down in the corner. Again, an innocent victim of that one. Looked like Kent Connolly just shot up the hill and caught, I believe it was the 7 or the 8, and put him in defense. But the Daytona International Speedway, located in Daytona Beach, Florida, with a capacity crowd of 147,000 people. Once the Daytona Rising project is completed, that'll drop down to about 101,000, I do believe. This racetrack broke ground back in 1957 and opened in 1959 for an approximate construction cost of $3 million at that time. Owned and operated by the ISC, the International Speedway Corporation. An asphalt surface 2.5 miles in length, guys. 31 degrees in the turn, so slightly less than Talladega, a lot thinner than Talladega, which means a lot more close quarters racing. The big difference between these 2 super speedway racetracks that we'll see this series go to, as well as Verdane that we saw earlier here. Always, again, Friday night's going to be the double headers of super speedway racing on LSRTV, so hope to have you with us on all of those. But it's 18 degrees in the tri-oval here, but again, the main difference, the fact that the start-finish line in the middle of the tri-oval here, that'll be a different case, and it could dictate and change who walks away with some of these trophies here as we go throughout the season. As again, Talladega going to be past that tri-oval, about halfway through that and turn number 1 before you get down into 1 and 2. An update on the amount of cars that are still on the lead lap. We still have 27 on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap is going to be the 13 of Jimmy Tolliver. Brian Underwood is 1 lap down. as well as Rodney Wofford. 2 laps down are Daniel Harrington and Tommy Hall. Cody Dutton is 4 laps down. William Perry is behind the wall. Tom Mustakis behind the wall. Charles Edwards still in this race. He's 8 laps down. David Schutma behind the wall. Tony Fenn behind the wall. Jason Altman's behind the wall. And Shane Fry. All those cars currently sit behind the wall and so far are out of tonight's contention. Going to take a moment here and maybe try to catch up on the radio with, again, our in-race reporter. Try to get a quick word as we, again, continue out of this caution flag, the number 48 machine of Josh Ball. Josh, you got a copy of the radio, bud?
I got you guys.
We were talking strategy at the 1/3 mark of the race, and this race has been mirrored with cautions from that point to now, and you're still stuck at the back of the pack. So knowing that, you know, the chances so far, the way this race has been trending, of getting a long green flag run are not necessarily the highest. How do you plan on, you know, being able to advance your positions here as the race continues to go on without having the advantage of, you know, a long green flag run to give yourself the advantage of being able to pick up some spots?
Yeah, right now I'm just trying to work my way slowly towards the front. I've been seeing where the wrecks have happened and just trying to ease my way up here. I got 2 resets left, so I'm just going to try to ease my way up towards the top 10 here and then try to ride up there. So,
have you been caught up in any other incidents since we last talked to you? I know you guys entered the race with 4 resets. How's your scenario looking with that?
It's looking okay. I made the 1 run up to the front, and I unfortunately got some just front end damage on a silly incident. But other than that, there was 1 big wreck that happened at the front that I was in, and had to do a reset there.
All right, well, we asked you last time, and once again, anybody you want to thank, sponsors and shout-outs before we let you get back down to the team radio?
Yeah, we'll give a shout out this time. You know, running the paint scheme this month for breast cancer awareness. So, you know, just supporting that this month and probably the rest of the season, just to support everybody.
All right, Josh, well, thank you for taking another moment to talk to us, and we'll be rooting on your number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet, hoping to make it back-to-back here with that shootout win and also trying to take home the 500.
Thanks, guys.
So that was another quick check-in with our in-race reporter, Josh Ball, again, throughout the course of this 16-race season, hoping to be able to, you know, talk with our drivers, a different driver every week, to get some insight as we roll through in the season. Again, if you want to find more information on that or sign up and be out here on track in 1 week's time, go to iSuperSpeedway.com for more information on that. Guys, appears that the lights are off on top of the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car. Yes, they are. Rod Flagg's got to like where he's sitting right now, guys. He qualified 11th, really wasn't making a lot of noise, and I have to say, referring to last year's championship battle, him and Brandon Chaburko were going at it a lot there in the closing stages, and Chaburko, who has now made his way back up to 8th after being stuck towards the back there, about short of the halfway point. Chaburko's for the flair. He likes to go 3 wide. He likes all that room that Talladega gives him. Rod Flagg kind of is a dark horse. He rides on that inside. He keeps quiet, and he pounces, no pun intended, via the paint scheme that he's running. But he tries to coast in here late in the races, and he's able to steal a lot of these wins, and he has to like the view from that top spot.
He must be enjoying it greatly. He has the best view of the field. With the cautions coming out, he has a good shot at maintaining this lead. He'll probably have to make 1 more pit stop, maybe 2, depending on how the cautions roll out here. But I'm sure Mark Jorgensen wants to take that lead. He has come so close in these restarts. Cautions have not flown in his favor, and we will see how this shakes out on the ensuing restart.
That we will, as the pace car with its lights out goes through turns 3 and 4 as the 23 of Rod Flagg will lead us back down to the restart. Rod Flagg and Mark Jorgensen Jr. will be your front 2. Jimmy Todd and Casey Pierce in the next row following suit. And then it's the 83, 98, 83, 12, 57 also up there. Evan, let's bring him back down to green.
Pace car down the pit road a lot more common collectively than the pace car driver likes to do at Talladega. He was able to use the asphalt that time to get down the pit road, but back racing already again, beating bumpers inside of those top 5 positions. The 3 of Chaburko. I said he likes to be aggressive. He wants to work with the 98 machine of Greg Hooks. Don't be surprised if the first person to create a third lane late in the race is Brandon Chaburko, guys, defending champion. However, he is working some back end damage. How much would that affect him?
Maybe, I don't know. In the shootout, he had some pretty bad left side damage. It didn't really affect him too bad, but meanwhile, the battle for the lead heats up. The 81 pulls out to the outside of the 23, pushed by the 5, and him and the 18, and the 18 pushing the 23, are going to try to maintain that, and they will. Door even with the 81, but the 5 is right back up on the bumper of the 81. In the 81, we have a great push on the front stretch, and here we come down to the line. Who's going to get it at the line? It looks like it will be the 81 barely at the line.
Yep, and that's how you're supposed to be drafting around here if you cannot bump draft. And we're wrecking in the back again. I believe everyone made it through, but the 48, our in-race reporter, Josh Ball, is spinning now down on the apron of turns 1 and 2. He got thrown into the wall by just someone just not really knowing their points, and the caution is out on the speedway, presumably for the 48 of Josh Ball.
Yeah, race control going to throw the caution, and the 48 in-race reporter, guys, he just self-spun in the tri-oval. This track is so slick. Replay goes up now. No contact, nothing. He just lost it on that high side, and he was actually able to hang on to it, but it was the fact that everybody was 4 wide trying to get around that causes the checkup that would inevitably bring out a lot of that contact. I know the 7 machine was fishtailing all over the place in 1 and 2, trying to hang on to that one, and again, the race control is going to throw the caution flag. Jimmy Tolliver expressing his feelings with the rest of the drivers on how they have been running so far. But again, back on a caution flag quickly. The slick racetrack is proving challenging, to say the least, here with the iSuperSpeedway 500 on LSRTV. And we're going to take a moment to once again step away for a commercial break. When we come back, we continue to close in on that checkered flag, and we'll see you on the other side. More racing from Daytona.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental US, including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
That was a veteran move right there, buddy. That was awesome. You're doing a great job. Fantastic job, buddy. That was a very, very impressive performance today. Great job, everybody. Great job. Very proud of you, buddy. You had to work your butt off for that one, man. Back in your seat there, man. Give those belts a good tug. Double check your steering wheel. Get a good look at your switches. Get ready to go here, buddy. Pit crew. Can we get a thumbs up from everybody? Okay, whatever. Our backup channel. Make sure everybody's on it. Can hear me?
Trouble with the 088 to Kent Connolly into the inside wall, coming off of a green flag, a big checkup as these guys continue to chatter in my ear and try to distract me here, and it's working. But a big checkup coming off of that restart there. The 088 machine got turned to the inside wall. We have another car that's going to get some engine damage from that one, but we stay green. And side by side of it, the front of the field, the inside lane, with an advantage by 1 car length. It's Moan Evans. Down on the bottom, he has help from the 8 machine of Dana Osborne. 98 car, Greg Hooks leading the outside charge through 3 and 4.
The 83 and the 8 are working together on the low line. The 73 and the 98 are working together on the outside. Matt Bontempi is smoking, and they're racing side by side for the lead. The Napa know-how car, in the words of Rents, oh, the 83 got loose. And the Napa know-how car is trying to show him that he knows how, as he takes the lead from the 83. And he is going to be your new leader, but will not pull down. He's going to wait for his buddy in the 73 as they're racing side by side once again for the lead. He missed his opportunities window there as the 83 is getting a push from the 8, and they're racing side by side. 5-car breakaway here. The 23 of Rod Flag is kind of joining this group, and he's going to go with the outside here to try to give Greg Hooks the lead, but he cannot quite get
3 wide.
And we have a breakaway in the front of the field. The 98 almost gets turned by the 73. I thought his life just flashed before his eyes. Just going into the corner, a little bobble. The 73 almost turned him. Now everyone else is going single file now. They said enough is enough. they're going to try to get up to the 8 car, try to grab a cold one, and hopefully all just calm down, because we almost all about went big junk into turn number 4.
We did see some 3 wide around the number 21 of Josh Hanner. He went 3 wide to get to where he is now. He sits behind the number 17 machine of Tanner Mann on the outside. They push, and they're easily able to make up ground on those cars around them that are not pushing at the moment. They will separate as they go down the back straightaway at the tail end of our top 10. Now side-by-side back up front once again. It is Ramon Evans on the inside having the advantage. Rod Flag, who has led the majority of the laps here in the second half of this race, has been on that inside lane. He's up top right now with help from the 98 of Greg Hook, so is forced to back off a bit down through that trioval where these cars have been getting wicked loose, almost like there's oil all over the trioval, the way these cars have a lack of grip through there, even when they're just driving around by themselves. So you're almost going to hold your breath every time you go through there as a driver. Hold that wheel as steady as you can, and those 2 cars up the top get separated inside lane now with 2 cars to the good on the bottom. The 83 and the 8 machine going to get clear.
One issue I know is that we've been seeing this all night. They keep getting so close getting to the lead, they cannot quite pull down. It looks like there may be a problem.
Jimmy Trolliver went down on, and looked like he spun out down the back straightaway, hit the inside wall, remained green flag racing for the number 13. Just a tough break for him as he came off turn number 2 and just destroyed the inside wall in that Ford Fusion. Evan, I've been focusing on that. What's going up in the front of the field?
Well, as that 13 machine hit the wall again, no caution flag coming out from that. We remain pretty much double file up the front of this field. Again, a huge pack of cars now 3 wide, back by the number 96 machine. That's around I want to say 11 as they go down the back straightaway. It's the pink 48 car up through the middle. Our in-race reporter, Josh Ball, getting the job done. He drops down to the bottom. Only issue is top 9 cars are in the lead draft, 10th on back, about 1.2 seconds plus away from this lead draft of cars. And again, it is still only 2 up on the high side. Rod Flag with help for the 98. They're going to work around the lap machine. That's the 088 machine going to yield high of Kent Connolly. They'll go 3 wide to navigate around them. Things will get tight in 1 and 2, and they'll be able to get around no issue. The 98 sticks his nose low. Will he leave Rod Flag? Actually, Rod Flag going to have a gap as well. And now this lead draft going to go single file down the back, and the 8 machine says it's time for him to go. He's going to jump right back in line. Everybody's going with him. The 73, the 23, Ramon Evans over the radio saying, come on, guys. Everybody just left into the high side. They go, and the 83 is going to be going backwards as we reach more lap traffic up high.
The 83 is not even fun right now. He's still on the bottom. Literally every car in this lead pack went high, and he's going to get shuffled way back. He did not find a partner, and that was a very weird situation we saw there. Not a lot of times you see everyone ditch the leader, but that was what just happened here, and now we're back to the side-by-side racing. The 73 gets in the 23. They all keep it going straight, thankfully, as we are still racing under green, and they're side-by-side for 3rd.
That red number 8, Dana Osborne, using a little bit of some Dale Jr. Piper magic as he goes back to the race lead. The drafting game is strong on the bottom right now. The 23 is trying all that he can with the 73 and the 98 behind him. The 8 continues to lead, but that high line, I mean, all it takes is one guy. We saw it with the 8 car. We're spinning behind. We're spinning behind the field again off turn number 4.
Oh, big junk out of 4.
Let's see if we can get a few cars involved in that. I saw a spin off turn number 4, and let's see who we can get involved in that.
Yeah, taking a look, a couple cars went around, and it starts the lap traffic, or the 50, no, something happened to 57 machine, guys. One of our front runners, Jared Haggerty, is in a 2-wide situation. The car just turned dead right on him. I'm trying to watch his onboard. Guys, he didn't, I mean, the car just, I'm not sure if there was net code, again, prediction error here, being in the sim, but I mean, he was in the middle. That car just turned dead right on him in the middle of the corner. He caught the wall, bounced back down. Jaburko barely avoids it, but the 5, the 53, the 20 car, all going to be involved in that. A lot more cars going to be involved as everybody tried to scatter to get around that one as that happened through the corner. And not sure what happened there, but that machine just took a sharp turn into the outside wall, and evidently it's going to put us back under caution just as we started to see everybody get single filed out, and the looks of a green flag run started to get rolling.
It seems to be, I'm sorry to cut you off, Petey, but it seems to be that the 57 car went down onto the 088's door, and it looked like he just went back up. I believe that could have been a net code, because It doesn't make sense to me how that car just went from the door all the way up to the wall like that, unless he broke something in the suspension.
It appears to me, it looks like he blew a tire almost. Like he just went straight up into the wall. He had something that have happened. Cars just don't. Well, I believe he had some sort of suspension or tire failure there. Tough break for him and all the cars involved. Brandon Catello had an extreme amount of damage right now, as we are once again under caution.
Yeah, again, he came down on the door, but he should have been okay. I mean, there was a fair enough gap, and again, one of the things you have to rely on for a sim is a constant internet connection, something that you can call netcode, prediction code, is when, you know, there'll be a quote-unquote bubble around the car. For those people that race on the good old NASCAR 14 on consoles, you'll know the bubble. It's like an invisible barrier around your car that the game will think that that's where your car is. And it maybe, you know, having that foot of a gap or so, again, connections, internet connections between drivers sometimes don't cooperate, and evidently knocked him up into the wall, and then again obviously bounced off with the right side damage on that one, came back down. Tough break for Jared, because again, qualified 18th, not indicative of how the first half of his race went, as he's probably going to be getting the EOL for causing that caution. He pulls her to a stop on the back straightaway to let everybody by. But I mean, Haggerty, guys, one of these guys that we've seen up front is Power Rangers Ford Fusion. He was one of our front runners in that first third, the first third of this race. That opening stint was running solid. And again, just something, again, it's not a full moon. I mean, it's a day race, but just a whole lot of strange incidents happening. And I mean, they're going back to back to back here from the slick conditions on this racetrack. But just a lot of, you know, weird things that, you know, you wouldn't expect normally to happen. You wouldn't expect to normally bring out a caution, and things are just not falling these guys' way at this point in the race.
And meanwhile, Dana Osborne is in the lead. He took the lead shortly before the caution came out. He is followed by Mark Brown and Rod Flagg. That was your top three right now. Them three have seemed to keep their cars fairly clean. We've seen Dana Osborne get turned early in the race and tear up his car once, but for the most part, these top three have just out front and clean. That has paid dividends so far, as they're racing for the lead. And, you know, the cleanest car is going to rise to the top, and eventually these guys are going to run out of resets, and I think we're starting to see that some cars are sitting on pit road getting repaired because they do not have that reset. It's a tough break for them, but it's racing. It happens when you run out of repairs or what it be, you're done.
That's very true, as we're starting to approach that 30 to go mark, by the way, boys, so this race is starting to wind down. My only concern would be, as a driver, now people are going to pick up the pressure even more, because now you have about 30 to go. So it's one of those things where you got to win this race, and hopefully you don't want it to be under yellow. I mean, the pace car driver, you don't want to have the pace car driver win this race. So what you got to do is you got to hold it as wide open as you can, and hopefully you can stay green, because if I'm the leader, Dana Osborne, I'm just praying for it to stay green. I mean, at this point in time, you don't want to, you know, get bombarded, but at the same time, you can pretty much dictate, for the most part, when people need to pit, if people have stayed out. So it's going to be interesting to see what strategies come into play if we can keep this race under a green flag situation.
Yeah, if we want to talk in regards of strategy, again, we've been talking with Josh Ball throughout the race, and take a look at where his number 48 machine sits right now. Scored 24th the last time by the start-finish line, and again, it was something that we talked about on the top of the show, not anticipating what's, I think, is about 10 or 11 cautions at this point in the race. But talking strategy, again, do you sit up front? Do you ride up front, try to stay in front of the trouble all race long? A lot of the issues and a lot of the big wrecks have started up front tonight. As Josh Ball, as we talk about him, he actually brings it back down pit road. Or do you hang in the back? The 48 has kind of found himself stuck in the back. When we talked to him, he said he made that run up front and has just been shuffled back by a victim of circumstances. Without these green flag laps, guys, again, really the only way those guys back there are going to be able to pick up spots is if guys in front of them are out of the race, because they're not going to have the green flag laps. They're not going to have the amount of time to actually get hooked up with somebody, find a partner, and make up some significant ground to be able to get back up into some of these top spots. So where would you guys want to be at this point? Up at the front, where we've seen equally as much incidents, or you know, down at the back of the pack here, trying to just survive there and hope that some of those guys in front of you drop out of it?
Without a doubt, in the front, I do not want to be back there. We have seen all the cautions, not all of them, but for the most part, the cautions have occurred in the back. If you're back there, I just want to get out of there, because all I'm seeing in front of me is wrecks and smoke and things to avoid, and you're not going to avoid them all. But if you're Dana Osborne and Mark Brown and Rod Flag, you're avoiding all these wrecks. Rod Flag, I think, has only been involved in maybe one wreck tonight. And it's really paid dividends staying out front. And so far, it's really shuffled out nicely for these guys. And like I said, if you keep your car clean, you're going to be out front right now. And these guys deserve it because they've done the best job of avoiding the wrecks so far.
Yeah, exactly. I would much rather be in that front pack because you're able to really pull away from that second group. The second group just doesn't seem to have that much speed compared to that first pack. For some odd reason, don't know whether it's just damage or whatnot, but Evan, we're going to come back down to the restart, and this pace car is going to once again retire to pit road.
Pace car down, green flag once again. The flagman been very active tonight. We're back underway. Advantage to the inside as Dana Osborne is going to pull away from what's going to be side-by-side from second on back. Mark Brown going to lead the outside charge, and from there on back it is the inside led by Rod Flag. Down to the goal. Trouble right up at the front of the field. The 73 of Mark Brown's going to get hooked. This is in front of the whole pack. Another huge wreck down in 1 and 2. And the 17 car, it looks like he got turned in the middle of the corner. Did the 81 make contact with him?
It just looked like, I don't remember the number, but the car on the outside just hooked the 81, or no, the 81. He hooked the number 21 it was. I think it was 17 to 21 they hooked, and it just set off a huge accident.
Yeah, it looked like the 81 just kind of turned the 17 in the corner. It looked like, you know, he was trying to stay on him for as long as he could, and it was just one of those, it was one of those instances where it just disrupted the rear end of the car. So when you go into a corner, you don't have any rear grip because the back tires have been lifted off the ground from someone pushing. So when you go into a corner, you're just going to spin. All you're going to do is spin out, and unfortunately, he spun out in front of the entire field and collected a lot of good race cars. Hopefully for some of them, they have repairs left to use. If not, they might be looking at a possible bad finishing day and just trying to salvage what you can at points.
I'm not sold on the fact that it was, I mean, and I watched the onboard to play devil's advocate here and you know, see on the onboard with the 81 car, and I want you guys to take a look at that on your end of things as well. I mean, he wasn't pushing the 17. There was the slightest checkup. The car didn't even act like it made contact. Just, I mean, and I'm trying to see, and it did appear that there was contact at some point. But, I mean, it's so close on my end that I can't even definitively say that they did make contact. I'm trying to get a better angle on it to see exactly what the nose did. Again, these aren't the COT cars. They don't line up perfectly. And, guys, I'm looking at a side angle here for the 81 to 17. They did not make contact at all. I'm taking a look at the side angle here up from above. And the 81 to 17, they did not make definitive contact. So you either have to put that back on a prediction error or the fact that the air just literally got that 17 car loose. It's just so slick. You have to blame this on the weather conditions. I mean, you got a high humidity. You want to run through that again. The weather is 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The track is at about 96, but the relative humidity at 70%, that's fairly high. But I mean, I'm not sure what angle you guys are looking at, but I have an angle here, and on my end, those guys did not make contact.
It looks like it might have just been a little bit of net code or the looseness, like you were saying, this track. It's the looseness, it's kind of a love-hate thing they have going on here. The hate part is obviously the wrecks it's creating, but the love part is whenever they aren't under caution, we have seen some pretty amazing racing so far, and I hope in these last 30 laps they just get more amazing racing so far like we've seen in this race. And I predict these wrecks, more cars are losing their resets, there's going to be less cars on the track, and I think we're in for some amazing racing like we've seen when there wasn't cautions tonight.
Yeah, it looked just like one of those prediction errors, just a net code thing. Just the rear end, maybe it could have been a net code, it could have just been an error within just the way that the car went on track or whatever, but it looked like, from that angle that I'm looking at it, Evan, just the rear end completely stepped out of that 17 car. I mean, maybe someone just, you know, dumped a whole bucket of oil down in turn 1 or something like that. I mean, it was just the weirdest thing. Oh man, oh man, just another driver bit the dust in another restart zone, so we're gonna have to gather it all back up, and now at this point we're looking within, I believe we're 31 to go right now, coming to 30 to go, so drivers are going to start losing their patience a little bit more now, the fact that we're starting to run this thing down into its final stages. So I'm going to be, if I'm the 8 car, I'm kind of enjoying this because you're not really getting any opportunity to have any, battles for the lead. But at the same time, if I'm the second place driver right now, if I'm running second as Rod Flag is, I'm a little bit frustrated because I want to get that race lead and I just can't do it right now.
Yeah, this race is starting to come down, and again, a lot of these incidents, again, and not, having a bias thing, but a lot of these are just really strange. And at a first look, I called it, I said he got turned. But I watched the onboard, the car didn't act like it, like they made contact, and I took a moment to get a little camera angle built here so I could get a definitive answer, and again, there was no contact between those cars. So again, it either has to come down to the prediction error or, maybe the fact that the air just pushed that car right around. But again, just so strange, the incidents that we have seen. Again, and we talked to our in-race reporter, Josh Ball, on the fact that, what are the differences between the day race here? And, every time that the drivers get an answer, it's a little bit more slick. But it's slick. These guys are sliding around. Again, we said, even when they're single file PD in the tri-oval, the back end's just, there's no rear end security in these cars.
Oh, the new build, everyone's been saying, for years you'll see on the forums, people have been saying they want dirt. I don't think this is what they meant, but these guys have to feel like they're on a dirt track tonight with this as being so loose. I've never seen cars this loose on a super speedway. You're going full throttle. There's really not that much line off. You're kind of let off a little for the guy in front of you, but really, this is a wide open track. You shouldn't be getting loose. I do not understand this. It boggles my mind, and it's just really bizarre.
It is. It's almost like driving on, it's almost like black ice, I want to call it. Because one moment you have the grip, you're going through the corner, even on the straightaway. The next minute, you have zero traction. All you're doing is holding on. In my opinion, it looks like you're just driving, again, on black ice, as the pace car lights have shut out atop that Ford Mustang, and the 8 car of Dana Osborne is again your race leader, followed by Rod Flag in second. Third is Larry Camp. The 83 of Raymond Evans is fourth. Greg Hooks is fifth. Hunter Bowles is sixth. Seventh is Shane McKeeshan in the 20. The 53 of James Hudson is in the 8th position. 9th is Dennis Wright in 10th, rounding out the top 10. Number 96 of Chad Keene. So the only thing I can think of is no one is safe. We said earlier, Evan, that the guy that is leading this race is probably the safest driver compared to the guy in the back, but at this point, it looks like no one is safe from the grasps of Daytona.
I think the only one that we can call safe is the pace car driver, because you can't hit it. And not to take away from the drivers that have run solid. We've had guys that have played a lot of strategy. They've run a smart race, but again, when it's not your day, it's not your day. You can't catch a break. And that's why, despite the Dana Osborne's, the Rod Flags that have run strong, you got to give right now the Goodyear superior performer to the pace car for staying out of most of these incidents. But we're getting set to go back green once again. 8th on the inside, the 23 of Rod Flag on the outside. And Rod, now green flag flies. Rod was on the inside and he was overtaken, so he knows that it can be done on the outside. He gets going, but he does not have immediate help. Nobody on the outside lane got going right away. In fact, a pretty big checkup on that outside lane throughout the pack.
6-car breakaway already. The 8 and 23 race side by side. 23 is not of immediate help, but here comes the 83 and the 20. The 83 got shuffled back a little bit earlier, did not find a dance partner, has one now. The 23, he cannot push him, he's getting really close, and now he can push him if he so chooses to, and they're going to have a big run on the 8. The 8 checked up a little bit. Will the 23 clear him? The 23 the 23 should definitely be able to clear him here as they go into the corner, but will he come down? Yes!
He got him, yeah.
Just barely stuck down and got that lead away from that number 8 car. Now he's going to take the lead off turn number 4. Give the lead to the number 23. He's going to lead the race. Rod Flag to the point. He restarted second, got the lead with just enough help to get him around. And now everyone's going to try to figure out what lane you want to be in. High, low, that's all you really got the choice of. The low lane starting to prevail once again. Two cars on the high line as the 83 and the 20. They're being left out to dry right now. Down the back stretch they go to Evan.
And I said that Rod knows the outside can work, and he got the job done, and he's back in the #1 position, and it's going to be the 98 car who jumps out to the outside. Seasoned veteran Greg Hooks at Amp Auto Parts Chevrolet to the high side. 83 machine going to be on his back bumper. That's going to be Ramon Evans pushing it. How close these guys can get in the corner without actually getting hooked up again with this setup. You don't want to be pushing in the corner. It's just going to snap that guy around. And oh, again, the trial was going to bite somebody. One car hard into the outside wall. Everybody else is going to go low, and I think somehow everybody else is able to avoid it. It's James Hudson, hard in the wall. He was 9th at the start-finish line, and the 54, guys, is going to be the one that slides up and catches him. Dennis Wright was down on the inside, and, I mean, we need to get an onboard shot where you can see the wheel of that 54 car. He was turning, and it just didn't go. It almost reacted like he got hooked in the right rear, but he's the one that slid up the racetrack. That tri-oval takes another victim.
A killer tonight. I don't understand how this is such an issue. I've never seen anything like this. It's so loose, and they're getting loose again in the tri-oval. Every driver's on edge in the tri-oval. They're all just kind of wheeling their cars through there, but it's just amazing. I mean, look at these guys. They're bobbling and weaving back and forth through the tri-oval. They're on the edge of control. This is just pure insanity.
Now also, these cup cars, compared to somewhere on the speedway or short track, you have a taller spoiler on those tracks. This one, you have a very small spoiler, which means the cars are going to be upset a lot faster than you would say, oh, let's throw out maybe Auto Club Speedways. We have a caution back on the racetrack. Let's see where we're at. As caution flies, lap 99 here at the Daytona International Speedway.
Josh Hanner, the number 21 machine, going to be involved in it. It starts with the 77 machine, and it looks like a little bit of a situation where I talked about if a couple drivers get, in a little bit of a pack, it all starts. The 83 comes down, and the 53, again, the 57 of Jarrett Haggerty, guys. 83 ducks down in line. 57 goes high, and it just starts to spin on him. He comes back down in front of the 77 of Matt Bontempi, goes back up into the 21. A couple of these cars have some hard hits. The 21 goes up in the air, and, you got to look at it. Is it the setup being too aggressive, or, because, again, and they did make contact, but before they made contact, the 57 definitely just broke loose, guys, on his own.
I can't believe my eyes right now. This just is a continuing trend. And I think this is our 11th or 12th caution, and about 9 or 10 of these. There's been quite a few, actually. I was off a little bit there. But either way, if there was let's just say there was 11 or 12, I think 9 of them have been caused by cars getting loose randomly in places. And this is just, I'm starting to think this is less of this setup issue and more of an iRacing issue, maybe with the tri-oval. There was recently a new build. It could possibly, they changed with the pit road and everything, and they did make 2 or 3 changes to the Gen 6. I can't remember exactly why. I didn't read over the release notes completely, but this isn't this league. Don't blame the league for this. This iRacing has either changed something wrong when they changed pit road with the tri-oval, or they changed something in the Gen 6 that was causing this to happen. I would not put any of this in the hands of the league.
And I want to hop in here, Rents, real quick. Again, every time there's a change, and those who race on iRacing, they know. And they hate it. When a new build comes out, your setups don't work anymore. Is there any possibility, again, we'll talk with the race control, because again, and I have some experience with this league in the past year, and they can run a lot better than this, and the drivers know it, and these incidents, again, are just so strange. I can only recall one other time where there's been a race here at Daytona where things are just so crazy. So the fact that this is their first race with this many cars in the new build, I gotta think something somewhere along the lines has changed to cause these cars to react, so violently.
Yeah, it's really weird. Just the way that these cars are really running, and Petey, you can jump in here too if you want. It's the nose of the car isn't sitting down. It's not planting itself. Where when it does finally plant, the rear end doesn't catch. Normally on a super speedway, you have at least maybe you're normally neutral on a super speedway at normal times, especially with a league that doesn't allow you to bump draft in the corners. This is definitely something to do with the new build. This is nowhere near anything with the league, because if we were bump drafting in the corners, it would be a completely different issue because we're wrecking in the corners. This is more of an issue with either netcode problems or just literally could be just the way that these cars are set up from the new build, because PD, as we're seeing it, the rear ends aren't catching as soon as the nose catches, and the nose takes forever to land. And if you don't know what I'm saying by catching and landing, it's you're getting grip to the front end. Once you get grip to the front end, you're able to kind of rotate better, but that rear end loses the grip as soon as the front end catches it. Are you seeing that too, PD?
I am seeing that too, and now that I think about it, 3 or 4 days before the new build came out, me and my good friend ran the Talladega 500, and we made top split, and actually a driver in this race, Brandon Chaburko, was in there, and we never had this issue at Talladega. There was no issues with getting loose, and I know this is Daytona, but they're very similar, and now all of a sudden it seems that they're just getting loose in these high bank corners, and I gotta think that somewhere along the lines, and just to make everyone aware when I'm talking about pit road speed, iRacing increased the pit road speed by 5 miles per hour on Daytona and Talladega. It's not completely impossible to think that somewhere along the lines when they were changing Daytona that they made an error and somehow just made the texture of the track less grippy. Or maybe when they made them changes to the Gen 6, they possibly made the tire... I know they made a small change in the tire mile of the Gen 6, maybe they made that less grippy.
Yeah, I gotta think it has to be, and I want to make a note of this too. Yes, I was actually, and bringing a little bit of a story into this, as we're working under the caution flag condition, I was actually doing a NASCAR truck race here on iRacing, guys, just yesterday, and as soon as I shifted in the first gear and gave it a little bit of throttle, and I mean just to the point, and again, for those on iRacing will kind of better understand as we try to diagnose whatever issues going on here, the fact that, you know, you get your telemetry in the bottom left corner if you had that turned on. Green was barely on, and the thing was 90 degrees sideways pointed towards the wall. And for that whole race, we had to start in second gear, leave the pits, because as soon as you tried to accelerate, the car would brake, and you'd accelerate, it would start to turn as the lights go over the pace car, and I'd stop hitting the throttle, it would keep spinning out like I was full on the gas. So it's got to be something, and somewhere in this build, and obviously iRacing, again, they put a lot of time into these builds, so in no way criticizing, you know, the work that they put into it, but there's got to be something along the line somewhere. And you obviously had the combination of, you know, the Daytona surface, the weather, the humidity, and all that, but again, now that we discussed this all, these last few days on the new build, these cars have been, I mean, acting very strange, getting through the gears. Now, obviously, that it's not going to affect, it'll affect them differently at high speeds, but I do think this somehow ties all the way together. It's something with the way these guys have made their setup. It was made for the Season 3 build. Now that the Season 4 build is out, something's not adding up.
Definitely not here as we get ready to go green again. And these guys, I'm sure they just want to get this race over with. This race for these guys, they're probably sitting here thinking, we have sat here for now 2 hours and 10 minutes, and we just want it to be over with. And I can't blame them. And I'm sure the second this race is over with and we finish interviewing the top 3, I'm sure the first thing this league's going to do is look into that problem, because, I mean, it's unacceptable, honestly, that this can't happen again.
No, that's very true. I ran a nationwide series race, or tried to get a nationwide series that we broadcasted earlier, and it was just the same thing. Just the nose wouldn't catch, the rear end wouldn't catch. We were having fighting problems. As Evan, they're gonna take the pace car off the track once again, and we're gonna try to get this race going.
And a man in charge of it all is the one that brings us back to the green flag. He caught it on the last restart. He'll lead us to the green this time, but inside, Rod Flag takes us back to the green flag conditions at 21 laps to go. That time by the start-finish line, we're side by side throughout the pack, and the question almost has to be, oh, look at on the outside, the 8 car nearly just lost it on his own. The 33's having handling issues, getting up to speed all by himself on the high lane. This is crazy. Cattell to the outside, 3 wide down the back straightaway. The 87 retaliates. He'll hit the 33. We got some blinking down. Larry Camp's going to disappear entirely from the racetrack. He appears back on the apron. That's not going to be good down into 3 and 4. He's able to pull up. Everybody else gets around him. These cars are just evil.
We head off of turn 87. Looks to be having issues here as we go back and look at the 87. And the 87 has saved it, but oh my, the people are getting loose in this tri-oval. It's getting so squirrely. It's just, they're on the edge of insanity. Every lap we run
3 wide.
They go 3 wide, and oh my, this is insanity.
You know, ladies and gentlemen who are watching this race, that is why they call these drivers some of the best in the world. No matter what series you run in, stock car drivers, they have some of the hardest drives to do, bar none. Right now, you have zero grip. Look at the 96. You just went from the bottom to the second lane of the racetrack. The noses are not sitting. These cars are driving horrifically. The front 4 are single file, but after that, hold on to your hats because no one is safe right now. The tires are not gripping. The cars are acting evil. These guys are on the edge of calamity each and every lap, and the fact that they are just not wrecking just tells so much about the talent these guys have and just the determination they have to keep these guys going to the front. The 8 jumps in front of the 81. We're going to try to get the high line moving on lap 106, Evan.
Yeah, and as this race has gone on, we started thinking, all right, you know, luck of the draw, but again, the something just not adding up here. And again, for those that are watching and maybe are, you know, haven't raced on iRacing it a little bit, or, you know, have not raced on iRacing and have not the opportunity to do that as the 8 machine goes to the outside lane and, I mean, gets sideways. Everybody's sideways trying to hang on to it. Half these guys are about 15 degrees sideways to the tri-oval. These guys are wheeling these cars. Look at the 83. He's drifting out of the tri-oval. These guys are working these wheels, guys. So for everybody that's watching and maybe, you know, complaining and saying, and again, this is, iSuperSpeedway has some of the better drivers here. They run these super speedway tracks. They know what to do. So the fact that, again, they're not wrecking it, but again, we have angles and we're able to check out a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily go over the stream. So we can see what these guys are dealing with here with the combination of the aggressive set and then something in this new build has changed. So the fact that these guys are racing this close right now, very impressive, and definitely not a knock on what's gone on so far here on the quality of the iSuperSpeedway drivers. As we're side by side up at the stripe, advantage to the outside lane, Dana Osborne. Gonna have it, does he jump down? Yes, he does. New leader, the Budweiser Chevrolet.
He takes the lead. Look at these guys, they're just squirrely all over the place, racing side by side, 200 mile an hour. And for you guys at home, raced that iRacing 4 is the 83 saves it there. This is equivalent of you going down the highway and you hit a patch of black ice going downhill and you gotta wheel that car. You gotta save your vehicle from wrecking. This is what these guys are doing, except at 120 miles per hour and you're side by side with about 10 other guys.
Yeah, that is true. Right now, the front 2, the 8 and the 23 are trying to say sayonara. I do not want to get anywhere near side-by-side racing right now. But the 29, he says not. He's going for second. He's going for the lead. And you can see in the back of this shot right now, the 80 is wiggling going into the corner. The 83 just hasn't been able to really pin it against the yellow line all night long. It is just one of those things where just you're fighting it. I mean, I keep saying you're fighting it. As here comes the 80, he's looking to go in the inside almost.
Here we go.
Racing starting to pick up, boys. Business is picking up at Daytona.
I said don't be surprised if Chaburko's the first one to try the outside. He stuck a nose up there that time, and this is the classic iSuperSpeedway racing. They're beating and banging. We're sideways up on the front row. Down to the inside goes the 29 of Hunter Bulls. He'll hang on to it, and he'll now be the lead car on the inside as he led that last time by the start-finish line. And now we roll into the corner 2 wide, about 5 rows deep. Down on that inside lane, 5 on the top as well. The top 10 are pressure cooked within 3/10 of each other, guys. That is extremely close. The last time by the start-finish line, lap number 110 in the works this next time by. Gonna be 14 to go. It was 15 laps remaining the last time by. And Cattell gets it.
Brandon Cattell sideways taking the lead, and oh my, and the 81 is now the new leader on the outside. The 20 car will come to give him some help. Cattell has help from the 29 as they just want to get away from this mess back here. Is the 29, oh, this tri-oval, man, these guys are wheeling these cars right now. It's amazing. Just door-to-door, 200 miles an hour, going at it here as the 29 and 80 have a little bit of breathing room, and that ain't much at Daytona right now, is the 81 and 8 are side-by-side for third. The 81, first car on the outside, going to try to make a run to the front, and the 29 is actually going to jump up there and try to take the lead from Brandon Cattell.
These drivers are into about like the last round of a knockout boxing fight. They are tired, they're bruised, they're scratched, they're beaten up, and all they want to do is win. They're not giving up one single bit. On the inside is the 80, on the outside is the 29. They're beaten, they're
Wow.
corners. They have no grip left. They're trying to hang on with everything they got left. The 80's got help from the 8. The high line is where you really want to be right now, because look at the train you have up there. The 29, the 81. The 81 leads the 29. 81 down to the bottom to follow the 80.
3 wide, here we go. There goes Jaburko. He's bringing the 5 with him. That's Casey Pierce to the outside, down the back, straightaway, 29 and the 20. Going to be the inside, the middle lane rather, as we are 3 abreast through turns 3 and 4. They're bouncing off each other. Great racing as we get down to the closing lap. Still on each other's door out of the corner. To the high side goes the 8. To the top goes the 81. Now back down to the bottom. Still 3 wide at the stripe. And it's a drag race at the start. Finish line can tell with an advantage 23 sideways. Rod flag hangs on.
These guys are on the edge, but Brandon
Oh, contact! Jaburko's hard in the wall!
no one wrecks yet, and this 96 is around. Very hard in the wall, no caution yet. I know iRacing caution will be thrown. We'll see if Race Control throws one. It appears they are not so far. They still race for the lead, the 80 in first, Mark Jorgensen in second. That 3 wide just could not work with these cars being that loose, but they sure gave it their best.
Indeed they did. It just came down to unfortunate circumstances for that 3 and everyone else behind him. It just one of those things when the car walked up the hill, and when that car walks all the way up, you just can't seem to get it back. As again, you're seeing it on your screen right at home, folks. That 8 and the 20 just about made contact. That is how wickedly loose they are entering the corner. If you don't know what loose is, that's pretty much when you just don't have any traction. And the car just wants to turn on its own. Wants to turn on its own. It's now the 20 is the only guy in the high line pushing that 81 down the backstretch. 2 cars on the bottom, 3 cars on the bottom now, 2 on the top. It's every man for himself at Daytona.
And that was some great racing for that 3-4 lap thing. Those guys were not lifting 2-3 wide. And now that, again, a lot of those guys got out of it, they could have easily just self-spun them, guys. They could have self-spun after that caution to get a yellow flag, but they didn't. They kept it going, so great to see that. We stay green up front. It is the 81 going backwards on the outside lane. That's Mark Jorgensen Jr. 20 car looks high from 3rd place. Shane McKeechan going to drop back down in line. The 98 machine, Greg Hook's then going to take P4. Again, as that 81 machine has slid back. Hunter Bowles trying to make a late race charge. Guys, he dropped back. How about that? Hunter Bowles went back, picked up Rod Flag, who lost some time from saving it, and now they're marching back up to this lead draft.
Speaking of saving it, man, the 8 did a good job. Right now, there's only 8 cars within spitting distance of winning this race. This has just come down to a brutal battle for the win. And remember, this is a double points race. This has huge implications. Right now, Brandon Catel's leading this race. A lot of his championship contenders are wrecked. And the 8, oh my, 8 car saved it on the apron, but he lost the draft, and I don't think he's going to be able to catch back. He has no help back there. There's the 20s on the outside with the help from Greg's Hooks in the 98. They have to go by a lap car. The 20 is your new leader. But like I was saying about the double points, this right now, these cars that have managed to live this long are going to have a huge points advantage going into next week if they can just hang on.
That 8 car just about spun it out. What a great save he did in the trial. Well, the 20 car is trying to win this race. He wants those double points, as you alluded to earlier there. The 20 of Shane McKetchin is in the race lead, but the 80 of Brandon Kettle is
to the outside.
So desperately to get that lead back. Ooh, they might not even be good on gas, because you remember, guys, the fuel here at Daytona.
The 8 of Dana Osborne, guys, he ran out of fuel. He ran that tank dry. He's slow on the apron 3 and 4 with no fuel. I can't believe it.
There's cars all over the place out of fuel. This is just insanity. You think you've seen everything tonight? No, this is coming down to a fuel mileage race.
Wow. This is crazy in the latter stages. We got guys running out of fuel, guys in the fence, guys 2, 3 wide, sideways in the middle of a pack, and yet we stay green. The 20 car leads it on the inside. He's followed by the 81 of Jorgensen, the 29 there as well. That's Bowles, and the 23 of Rod Flag. Now we got a caution, trouble down the back at some point, maybe in 3 and 4, and I don't see a car around at the moment. We are going to go under a caution flag condition, trying to get an update on who's going to bring that yellow out. And
on the apron right now out of gas. I have to believe it's one of the cars that ran out of gas that possibly brought out the yellow. There's about 3 of them right
Dana
now.
Osborne, possibly. He was slow.
Very slow down the backstretch right now. Yeah.
So we're hearing that maybe the 5 car was going very slow down that back straightaway there. Casey Pierce was only going about 18, guys.
Someone just had to miss him, and they almost wrecked. Oh, they did hit the wall, but the 83 came up right behind Casey Pierce and had to make a last-second adversive move.
That's a lead lap car.
And he barely missed the wall. Man, I don't know why he would keep it that close.
I don't think he was, you know, fully looking at the screen or something, and, I mean, turned at the last second, and he nearly put that thing in the fence. And, guys, I think all the, you know, for the yellows that we had seen throughout this race, and again, we were discussing the possible causes of that, and again, I don't blame it on the drivers, because did you see what those guys just did for 10 laps? 2, 3 wide, bouncing off each other's doors, and they stayed green. That's what we come to expect to see every week from iSuperSpeedway. And oh, by the way, guys, we're going to get maybe a 3 or 4 lap shootout here at the end.
Oh, catch your breath now, because... Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man, that's all I have to say about this. This insanity... If you can, I think the final 3 laps are going to be a good sum up of the race. It's going to be nothing but pure insanity, guys giving it their all, and a lot of guys are going to get heartbroken, but one guy is going to stand tall knowing that he wheeled his car best tonight.
Yeah, that's very true. Actually, we're going to need to get some oxygen up in the booth. I mean, right now, we're just out of it. The 5 of Casey Pierce is so slow on the apron right now. I'm not sure whether he had an engine problem, because he did radio into his crew a few laps ago that his car was completely and utterly killed. So maybe he might be completely out of power, or maybe a fuel pickup problem. But in any case, that 5 car has now come to a stop on the bus stop of the Daytona International Speedway on the road course section. I believe he's getting the tow back to the pit road. But I mean, for these guys, now it becomes an issue because the 8 ran out of fuel. The 8 pitted with all the lead lap cars, so you would have had to have imagined that everyone else wasn't good to the end.
And guys, I'm going to take the final moment here. We're going to step away for a very quick commercial break. Final one during the race in action. You're watching the iSuperSpeedway 500 from Daytona, and it's going to be a very short shootout here at the end. So we'll go to break right now, and we'll race it down. That checkered flag going to be coming up. Don't go anywhere on the other side. Back live at the Daytona International Speedway as we get set for what's going to be a lap 122 out of 124 restart, guys, after 2 hours, 20 minutes of racing, a lot of cautions, and a very aggressive last run there of about 10 laps where we saw 2-3 wide bouncing off each other's door. It is going to be 3 laps to go in the final restart. Who walks away with, again, the winner of this is going to be walking away with a real trophy that's going to be provided by the iSuperSpeedway administration. So there's a trophy on the line. There's double points on the line. We're going to settle it right now. Shane McKeechin in P1, the 81, and Mark Jorgensen Jr. in P2. They make up the front row. Pace cars down pit road, boys. Buckle in one more time. Here we go. Green flag flies. We're off, and we're 2 wide already, beating and banging across the stripe.
Jorgensen got a great restart. They're beating and banging. They're getting sideways. This is insanity like we expected. With just 3 laps to go, these guys are going to fight for the trophy, fight for the double points, and most importantly, fight for the win. Jorgensen on the outside, McKeechin. They are so...
Look at the front.
They are almost door slamming. The top 6 have pulled away a little bit from the rest of the field, and these 2 lines are equal with each other as they push each other down the backstretch. The 81 and the 20 are equal, and he's getting a lot of help from the 80 on the inside, McKeechin is, and this is about to heat up as we are coming to 2 to go.
Coming to 2 laps to go in 3 and 4. You can see the 20 starting to pull away. If a caution comes out, that's it. The race is over. The 81 is trying so desperately to pin that 80 down low, trying to get enough side draft to get back. But the 80 and the 20 are starting to pull away from the 81.
You see those guys on the inside, they chase it up the hill at 2 to go, and now side by side for third, the outside lane starting to lose its momentum advantage, going to be now to the inside. Now the question becomes, if we make it to the white flag, do you want to be McKeechin? Do you want to be Cattell? Do you want to be the first car in line or the second one? We're beating and banging 4 cars, bumper to bumper on the inside, down the back, straight away for the second to last time.
Here comes our in-race reporter. Where did Josh Ball come from? He's found his way through all these cars, and he is coming back through the field. But as we are coming to the white flag, the 80 and the 20 working together. No high line right now, just kidding. Greg Hooks is going to go with the 80. The 80 ditches McKeechin. It's side by side for the win. The 80's on the outside.
We are 2.5 miles away from a finish. The 80 is to the race lead. He's going to try everything he can. Shane McKeechin and Brandon Kettle running side by side for the lead. Evan, they're coming to you off turn number 2.
They're door slamming and bouncing off each other and down the back straight away for the final time. Who's going to get it? We got 3 on the inside, 3 on the outside. Rod Flag to the back bumper of Shane McKeechin. The 98 of Greg Hooks to the back bumper of Brandon Cattell. The inside line is going to have the advantage. Contact the 81 and the 48. They hang on as we're 2-3 wide back to back. A final drag race off the front straightaway. 80 to the high side with the help. Cattell is going to have a huge run, 3 wide, and it's going to be the 20 of Shane McKeechin. Checkered flag, 3 wide at the start-finish line, 1/100th of a second.
Well, we waited 124 laps to do it, but we got a hell of a finish whenever it came down to it.
Man, oh man, oh man, what a finish. What an absolute finish to the end. I mean, I need to go back and watch that again to the line, because that 80 got a run like he was Superman off the corner. Completely rocketed back to that 20's door, side drafted all he could, but in the end, it was Shane McKeechin, your winner at Daytona double points event. And hey guys, get this. You're a winner at Daytona. You won the season opening race.
And Petey said it, we waited for it, and all that time saw a wild finish of what was 3 wide coming into the trial. It's going to be 2 wide at the stripe as Cattell, and guys, Cattell would have won that race if the 98 of Greg Hooks did not step out 3 wide to try to take home the win himself. Can you blame him? Online, a trophy and the win at Daytona International Speedway. Forget the double points. That was all about taking home that checkered flag, and it is going to be the 20 machine of Shane McKeechin. He's going to get the job done in miraculous fashion here at Daytona. And I gotta say, that was worth it. What a finish coming down to that stripe.
That was just insane. All the drivers did an incredible job of driving there at the end. And you gotta think, most of the cautions, we figured out the issue. iRacing obviously made a mistake. At first we thought it may have just been they had a little bit of issues with the league and everything with the drivers, but no, definitely iRacing had an issue, but whenever it came down to it, the drivers did a good job.
Indeed they did, as that 20 car just burning it down in that tri-oval grass, classic Daytona style. Tear it up. They don't need to resod that for a few more weeks. But anyway, guys, what an insane fight the entire night. That is what driving on a ragged edge is all about, Evan.
And it all comes down to it, 11 1/100ths of a second. The gap at the start-finish line, and we're going to step away for the final time tonight. We'll come back. We will talk to our top finishers and get you set for our 2 weeks. Going to be back here at Daytona for the first regularly distance race of the season. Again, a week off for Halloween, but it'll be a 50-lap A main, a 25-lap B main coming up in 2 weeks' time. But we'll step away. The post-race show coming up next on LSRTV.
That was a veteran move right there, buddy. That was awesome. You're doing a great job. Fantastic job, buddy. That was a very, very impressive performance today. Great job, everybody. Great job. Very proud of you, buddy. You had to work your butt off for that one, man. Slide back in your seat there, man. Give those belts a good tug. Double check your steering wheel. Get a good look at your switches. Get ready to go here, buddy. Pit crew. Can we get a thumbs up from everybody? Okay, whatever. Our backup channel. Make sure everybody's on it. Can you hear me? So you're going to be in the middle of a dogfight here. What do we need to try to do, do you think? Need to be a little tighter or a little looser?
Back live at the Daytona International Speedway, and after a wild 124-lap and 500-kilometer race that saw its share of cautions, to say the least, the combination of a aggressive setup and a new build on iRacing led for a barn burner, and it was a survival of the finish, but it is 1/100th of a second at the start-finish line. It's what we all wanted. It's what we got. A green flag finish. Saw Shane McKeechin put it in victory lane, but we're down, and it is Rents Brown. You've caught up with the league administrator. Rod Flag is going to be a P3 result tonight for him, the 23 team.
Well, Rod Flagg climbs out of the number 23 Toyota Camry. He asked for a bottle of water after that one. And Rod, how was that race? Just from your perspective, I mean, no grip, just literally hanging on by the seat of your pants. Just talk me through that.
I tell you what, it long. I mean, obviously it was a long, exhausting race, lots of cautions. We had a really good car though the entire night. It ran up front. Not sure if we led the most laps or not, but we certainly brought the 23 Toyota certified used vehicle Toyota Camry out front quite a bit tonight, and just was an awesome opportunity to kind of be there at the end. And I knew I wouldn't be able to get by the 20 or the 80. So really what I had to do is help my manufacturer out there and help Shane McEachin win the race.
Yeah, you definitely did. Now, we had some great racing with about 10 to go or so. Was fuel ever a concern coming for you at the end, or were you fine on fuel to the end?
No, we were pretty good. We kind of came in, I think it was lap 76 or 78. There was kind of some conversation going on between me and the 81. We were asking, we think we were run 1-2 at that point. We asked each other if we should come in at that point, and cause we knew there was probably going to be a few more cautions, obviously, but the way the night was going. So we went ahead and came in, and with a few cautions, we were able to kind of save it. And we were really just kind of turning the motor off on those cautions, and we had more than enough fuel to make it there. I think the 8 though, I think he ran out of fuel somewhere there in the last 20 laps, but yeah, we were fine.
Now, since you do pay the bills over here at the iSuperSpeedway.com, run us through a little bit for maybe the viewers at home that maybe want to come in and race with you guys. What can they expect from Rod, who runs this great league? What can they expect from this league?
Well, I'd say we look for guys that are gonna come in here and be a good mesh. We're competitive. We've been together for 6 seasons. I mean, this is just our 3rd season that we've had for iSuperSpeedway.com, but we had raced for 4 seasons before as the Super Speedway Cup. So we've been together for quite a while. We also have some drivers that are mainly from what's called the Revved Up Racing League that come races on Friday nights. We have a really good mesh of guys, and so we're always looking for opportunities to have new drivers come in and race with us. And if you're the right quality and right mesh, and you want to come in here and race competitively every Friday night, and you like Super Speedway racing, got to like what's going on. So if if you're interested in that, go iSuperSpeedway.com, click on new driver application. Again, we're happy to get new guys in there, but again, this is a fun league. I know there's a lot of cautions tonight there, but this is we're used to running heat format races. This is kind of the iSuperSpeedway 500 is a real it's a race that we brought in this season because we wanted to have kind of a premier show with our partnership with LSRTV, and I'm just excited that Shane McEachin got the win tonight.
Indeed it is. Oh, hey, Rob, before we let you go and, go celebrate with your teammate, is there anyone you want to thank, sponsor, shout out, anyone that you want to give a quick shout out to?
Well, I obviously want to thank LSRTV, Laura, Evan, PD, Rance, and everybody here, for what you guys did. It's been a long night, and appreciate everything for making our show as good as it has been tonight. And obviously, the iSuperSpeedway drivers make it happen. So thank you to them. Toyota Certified Used Vehicles, Middle Light, Washington State Cougars, and then Team Tundra or Team Camry, everything, Team Toyota. We went to victory lane tonight, and we're going to be celebrating with Middle Light. So it's going to be a great night tonight to celebrate with Shane.
We certainly appreciate everything you do. Have a great, safe week off, and we can't wait to see you again next week.
I'll see you in 2 weeks, boys.
All right, and now we're going to send it up to PD, who's caught up with 2nd place.
That I have, and Brandon could tell down here on pit row only. Brandon, you got a copy?
Yeah.
Well, Brandon, it was a long night to say the least. We saw you on pit road a couple of times with some damage. Nonetheless, you fought back and got to 2nd. How did you manage to do it, Brandon? How did you make your way through all them cars to come back and almost win the race?
To be honest with you, I think it was just the look-alike Dale Earnhardt paint scheme, which helped me see the air tonight and get up there.
Well, Brandon, we certainly saw some issues, and tonight at first we were just thinking that maybe he was just gonna some cautions were producing cautions, the more we looked at it, iRacing seemed to be having some glitching problems, possibly from the new builds. The track just did not look right. Cars were spinning out randomly and getting loose for no apparent reason. Did you notice that at all from behind the wheel of your car?
No, not really. It was just people just, I don't know. I don't think they were adjusted with the setup. It was a little loose on entry and kind of turned in by itself, but it was drivable. So I guess it happens.
Well, definitely a long, frustrating night, and I know it's really late, so we're gonna let you go. Before we let you go, any sponsors, people you like to thank?
Robert Cattell Roofing. Gotta thank Rod for him doing this, and Lee Heron. He's a great spotter, even though he wasn't here tonight because been working on the free Lee Heron campaign. And like to thank Frank Smoking Hot Wife, and that's it.
All right. Well, that was second place finisher Brandon Cattell. Definitely tired after a long race here today. And meanwhile, up in victory lane, Evan Pasoko is caught up with race winner Shane McEachin.
And the Gatorade flies down in Gatorade victory lane after about 2.5 hours later and 500 kilometers by 11/100ths of a second. It is going to be the driver of the number 20 machine, Shane McEachin, to victory lane. Shane, first and foremost, before we get into all the specifics of this race, what does it mean to you to be able to take home this, this premier race here with the iSuperSpeedway.com guys, and you'll be walking away with that hardware?
Yeah, this one means a lot. First of all, we're running a special paint scheme this season in memory of my father. Just a very exciting race. Got to thank Rod and Brandon, a lot of those guys, for the push there at the end that kept us out front.
Walk us through that final run to the checkers. That again, the cautions were abundant throughout the race. We saw a really good 10-lap run just short of the final caution flag, and you were able to get yourself in position, and you were 3 wide at a point, and you and Cattell were on each other's door, but you kept it clean. How'd you get it done there on that inside line?
Yeah, I just knew I had to keep it out front the way cautions have been coming. Being on the bottom was definitely the place to be, and luckily just into the turns, the outside would get the run, but it just couldn't keep up in the turns, and Brandon made a move to go outside for the pass, and luckily Rod was able to get there and keep us out front.
Shane, want to talk a little bit of points, and again, I know it's early on, but the first points race now in the books. You finished 6th last year in the championship standings, so you have to feel good. Obviously, rolling out of tonight's race, you guys got an off week. You return to Daytona for race 2. That's when you guys go back to the 25-lap B main, the 50-lap A main styled races. Tonight being double points, it's going to give you that much more of an upper hand in the season here. Obviously, going to be a confidence booster.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a longer season than usual, but yeah, that means a lot going in here, and getting that monkey off your back, getting that first win of the season, and looking forward from here.
All right, Shane, well, we know you got some celebrating to do. Before we let you walk away, sponsors and shout-outs, who makes it happen for you and the team?
Thanks to the sponsors, Southeastern Freight and Flash Foods. Flash Foods has been a primary sponsor last season, and we brought on some associate sponsors for this one.
All right, well, once again, congratulations on the win here, and good luck rolling forward in the season, Shane.
Thank you, man.
So that is Shane McEachin. He is the winner, and guys, that is it as the LSRTV Super Speedway doubleheader on Friday night comes to a close. Verdane has been in the books, and now, guys, a wild finish in the iSuperSpeedway.com 500. Before we sign off for the night, as we approach almost 1 a.m. on the East Coast here after a long night of great hard racing, I want to get your final thoughts, beginning with you, Petey.
I thought it was, when they were racing, it was a great race, but there were clearly a lot of cautions, and I do disagree with Cattell a little bit. I think iRacing did have some glitches, but he was right to a point where there were definitely some times when drivers made some poor decisions, but I do think the whole texture of the track not being correct towards the end definitely played in.
Yeah, that's true, guys, and just keep in mind this. We're at Daytona. There's a lot of nerves going into this race. Double points. You had a trophy on the line. Congratulations to Shane McEachin, first of all, on a great win. It was fantastic. Also, just want to let you guys know, even everyone who's watching, Evan, Laura in the booth, Petey, have a very safe and happy Halloween. Hope to see you guys back in 2 weeks, hopefully on the track, and if not, be back right up here in the booth with you guys.
I want to thank you, Rents, also for jumping up with us so far on the Verdane race earlier tonight, and also coming over to join me and Petey here for 124 laps at Daytona. But again, that does it, and both Verdane and iSuperSpeedway going to be off at 1 week's time. Halloween going to be going on, so we'll be back in action for the double again in 2 weeks' time with Verdane and then also the iSuperSpeedway.com racing series, always on LSRTV. So that does it. So on behalf of everybody over here at iSuperSpeedway.com, we talked to Rod Flag Series Administration. Thank you to all of them for putting on this show, for Laura Lawson down to Production Hauler getting us on air tonight on YouTube and Twitch. And also, I already said thank you, Rents, for joining me, and also Petey for being up here with me in the booth tonight. My name is Evan Pasoko. Thank you so very much for tuning in. Shane McKeechin takes home the checkered flag at the iSuperSpeedway 500. We'll see you in 2 weeks at Daytona.